Welcome to the Money Talk podcast. It is February 26th, 4 p.m. I am on time. Let's hope that I'm actually live. Give me a second to double check. Okay, we are actually live. I've had it once where I talked for a whole hour and I couldn't see anything. Like you guys couldn't see anything. I was just talking to myself. Mike B is here. He's number one. He is first to be here. Thank you for coming. Today, we have some stuff to talk about. I would hope so, right? So first, I'm going to give other drivers some time to get in here before I talk about how much I made. So I'm going to defend myself on a video that I put out last week where I compared a brand new Tesla to a used Prius. Some people were very unhappy with that. After that, I'll talk about how much I made last week. We'll talk about how much other drivers made. I'm going to talk about this Uber glitch that stole my money. I'm still upset over it. It's something that is not fixed and it's something that other drivers have been experiencing as well. So we're going to dig into that. We're going to talk about the new Quest schedule for Uber. I just found out about this like 10 minutes before I went live. So that'll be an interesting thing to talk about. I want to know how you feel about it. I'll share how I feel about it. Uber and Lyft have a transparency bill that is circulating around in Colorado. We'll touch on that. I'm probably going to support it. I don't know too much about it. I saw the headline. I said, this looks like something the community should know about. So we're going to talk about it today. I'm going to talk about the Uber CEO and how he felt like he took drivers for granted before the pandemic. I don't know how that's going to translate to modern day. I don't know if he's trying to say that he's not taking advantage of us now. So we're going to have to dig into that article to see. We might get to these, right? Usually I run out of time, but we're going to see if priority mode is worth it. Hopefully we get to Lyft buying Halo. I probably don't even know what Halo is, but it's a way for Lyft to earn more money. And I'm curious to see if that will fall back into the driver's pockets or not. Probably won't, but we'll still explore it. We might talk about how Lyft is working with U.S. military bases. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it's good for our servicemen, I guess. Uber comes clean about their algorithmic wage discrimination. We have a couple other stuff here. We might not even get to them. So instead of wasting time talking about things I might not get to, let's talk about me defending myself. Okay, let's do that. So give me a second. I'm gonna hop on over to YouTube. Testing. Okay, I'm good. All right, so this is the video right here. This is where, I did it live. I recorded this video live, did it last week. We focused in on if Uber and Lyft drivers should buy a new Tesla. And then I compared it to getting a used Prius instead. And I got a lot of comments from people saying that it was disingenuous of me to compare a brand new car to a used car. And I just want to focus in on that for a second and say that I disagree. I think that when a rideshare driver is considering buying something, the rideshare driver should use the entire market as their consideration. There's no reason why the rideshare driver should only be considering brand new cars. I think that's intentionally limiting yourself to a subset of things that you shouldn't be limiting to yourself, especially if you're treating rideshare as a business, right? You want to spend the least amount of money to make the most amount of money. And you should be doing constant calculations into your different options to determine what the best thing for you is. Now, for me, I think that if you're just doing base level, right? Base level Uber, base level Lyft, you should definitely get a Toyota Prius. And not just any Toyota Prius. You should get a used Toyota Prius. What is the sense in me comparing a brand new Tesla to a brand new Prius when the first thing that I believe is that rideshare drivers shouldn't buy brand new cars? There is not much math that I've seen. I haven't seen any math that justifies the instant depreciation that happens when you buy a new car. Most of a car's depreciation happens in the first 2 years. So if you came to me and said, hey, should I get a brand new Tesla or should I get a brand new Prius? I'm going to say neither of those options are something I would do. Instead of getting a brand new Tesla or a brand new Prius, I would just buy a used Prius. What's the purpose? You can get a very rock solid car that's 2 to 4 years old that is significantly cheaper than buying that new version of that car because of how much depreciation happens on a car. So I did make a full video responding to some of the criticisms. I just wanted to double down on here. And the way I'm going to double down is by talking a little bit more about the Prius. So this is the highest this is the highest mileage Toyota Prius hybrid in the world in 2024 that we know of course. The Toyota Prius is an icon for many things, including reliability, and here's the car and its owner who hold the highest record for mileage ever. It's posted 3 days ago, so this is in 2024. The Toyota Prius has become synonymous with long-lasting quality, fuel efficiency, good pricing, and a more recent redesign. Of course, it's not every day that you encounter a Prius that's traveled 500,000 miles or more, as most people swap out their cars for the newest model, which is where the story comes into play. So I want to address that. It is a very American thing for us to use debt, buy a car, not pay it off, and then roll over that negative equity into the next car. And that's what people who have cars that don't generate income for them do regularly. So for rideshare drivers to go and turn around and do that as well, it hurts my heart. It really does. If you're new here or you're just not sure, what I usually recommend, pay off your car. Your car is one of your biggest expenses. And honestly, gas should be your biggest expense. But if you're buying an expensive car, it's just so unjustifiable that gas can never really catch up to the price of that car. Something to think about. And I say gas, and I mean fuel too, because if you have a brand new Tesla and you only charge at home, that's a red flag for me. I want to touch on that for a second. And it's a red flag for me because that is a signal to me that you don't drive enough to justify the cost of the Tesla. I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna keep going with the story. So what started as a normal car sale at a dealership in South Carolina, that's where I'm at, would become a tale of true Toyota prowess when it comes to the actual mileage you can achieve with this hybrid. And I'm pointing this out because one of the criticisms I got, with a used car, there might be problems, and that's a real part of it. Buying a new car has a level of convenience and I guess reliability, kinda, where you won't have to worry about certain things. Where if you buy a used car, you don't really know what its past has been about. But it's in the act of solving. Just because a solution might come with problems doesn't mean that the better solution is to get the thing that has no problems, right? As entrepreneurs, business owners, we need to solve problems if solving those problems help us save money, right? That's kind of the name of the game. Do you want a brand new car that's not likely to have problems? You're going to pay a premium for that. And we need to determine, is that premium worth the money? To me, it's not. So I'd rather buy a Prius. If something's wrong with the battery, I'd rather fix the battery. I'd rather fix what's wrong with a used car because it'll probably still be cheaper. Not always. You have to do your due diligence. You have to do your work. You have to do your Carfax. You have to, dive in a little bit. It takes extra effort. But that extra effort that you put in is how you save money. And almost anything. With oil changes, you can go down the street, pay someone to change your oil, or you can do it yourself and save more money. Can something go wrong? Sure. I changed my oil for the first time last week and I didn't put the oil filter on correctly. And my oil came out. I fixed it. No permanent damage to the car. No damage to the car, really. Just an oil spill. And now I've learned and I can take that information moving forward while I save over 50% of my income. I was spending about $100 on oil. Now I'm spending about $40 on oil. So I get the want of a new car being something you have to worry about, something going wrong. But I think that we as rideshare drivers aren't in a space where we can afford that luxury. But let's keep going with this article. Nowadays, hybrids and FEVs, I don't even know what a FEV is. I'm gonna look it up. I've seen this around. I just don't know what the acronym itself means. Plug-in electric vehicle. Okay. Nowadays, hybrids and plug-in electric vehicles are all the rage, and for good reason. With this technology becoming most popular in the 2010s, we've only watched Toyota continue to dominate the sector. Most people prefer the idea of semi-electric driving versus full battery reliance, which Prius helped normalize worldwide. When this car debuted in Japan in 1997 and in North America in 2000, it became an icon for those wanting something greener and better for their everyday gas spending. And this is important too. We have the data on how reliable Priuses are. We don't really have the data on how reliable Teslas are long term. So if you're making a long term decision, I would feel more comfortable getting a used car with a proven track record than a new car where we haven't really seen what happens after 200,000 miles, you know? So that's one thing that you have to really consider. Fast forward to the 2020s, and a Prius that had been in pretty decent shape rolled into this dealer's lot, and its odometer claimed a whopping 546,896 miles on the clock. Who said a Prius was boring? Prius is kind of boring. It's not. It's not. Whatever. How this Prius won almost 550,000 miles. Here's pictures of the Prius. It looks pretty good. It's pretty clean. Look at that. That's clean. Whoever owned this took care of it, and this person, we need to follow whatever steps they did to take care of it. And it's a 2017. This story begins at Southern Motor Company in Charleston and proves that the Toyota Prius 2017 edition is genuinely a beast long term. This dealership sells new and used cars, so when a person drove onto the lot hoping to sell their 2017 Prius hybrid, the employees were not only blown away at how far this car had driven, but also how clean it was. Usually you see people with the Prius for taxi and rideshare driving because of its fuel efficiency. So this could explain the extended mileage. Because this vehicle is a hybrid and was a newer edition of Prius, the interior and exterior were fairly modern and on par with standards, minus 500,000 miles. The dealership manager couldn't believe his eyes. Randy Kennedy, the manager at Southern Motor Company, recalls the moment they laid eyes on this remarkable Prius. When the owner saw this car come up, he thought, read that again. When the owner saw this car come up, he thought the mileage was a typo. Then he saw how clean it was. He was like, I don't care if we make $1 on this. We can use it as a runner or sell it. It's too fun not to buy. So fun fact, I drive a Volkswagen Jetta and I bought it with 500 miles used. It was a 2017 that I bought in 2019 with 500 miles. Great deal for about 16 grand. I put 2 grand down. So I took out a loan for 14. It's paid off now. That was before I knew better. And I did not buy this car specifically for rideshare. I did not even buy it until I bought it before I became a rideshare driver. And I'm going to say this now. I did use debt and I would never do that again. That was a mistake. I'm never using debt to buy a car again, period. And it was a car runner. The reason why I was able to get it so cheap, it was at a dealership that typically sells new cars. And it was sitting on their lot for a while. And it's the car they would give to customers when, they came in and they needed work done, but they still had to get to work or get home or had errands to run or whatever. That's the car that they would give to them. So got a really good deal on it. If you're looking for a car and you go to a car dealership, I probably won't go to a car dealership again. But if you go to a car dealership and you want a used car, see if they have any of those runner cars that they're trying to let go as well. Back to the story. This isn't your run-of-the-mill situation, as most used Priuses have over 100,000 miles from that era. So this was an unusual day for a car salesman. So that's a signal that if you're in the market for a used car, you might want to look at the 2017 Priuses. Again, if there's one thing Toyota can and will accomplish, it's a long-running vehicle. Do we want to watch this guy's video? Let's watch this guy's video. Let's see what he says. We're running that. Let's watch it on YouTube. And I'll have better controls over here. We'll speed it up.
All right. Yeah. All right. Toyota Prius, 2017 model. It's been a while since we've been in a Prius. We finally got one right here at Southern Motor Company. Oh yeah, I know you're ready for it. So let's go ahead and crank it up, take it for a drive, and review it. Let you learn about it. Toyota, just such a fantastic brand of vehicle, If you go out there and pick a company to do business with and buy a car, this might be one you would definitely consider because Toyota's just got such a reliable name, the branding, the quality, and again, the reliability.
And it's cheaper to repair. I know that with Teslas, eventually you have to repair the battery, and that is also true of hybrid cars. But to replace the hybrid battery on a Prius is about $3,000 compared to what I've heard about Teslas being about $10,000.
Ability of a Toyota. It's the best. I'm telling you, it really is. So anyways, now a Prius, on the other hand, is a car that you go out and buy because you're trying to save on fuel economy. That's why you might be interested in buying yourself a Toyota Prius. Fuel economy, over 53 miles per gallon out of a car like this, which is really great. But also you might be considering buying a Prius too because you want to help out with the world, right? You know, not so much fuel consumption going on.
While helping the world is cool, when it comes to running my business, I'm about running my business. I'm not so rich at life where I can do things to help the world yet.
You know, things like that, right? So eco-friendly. It's not 100% electric, but it's hybrid. You got best of both, right? You got an engine, you got some batteries. So there you go. It's a Prius. It's a hybrid. Anyways, most of y'all watching already know all these things. But what the exciting part of this vehicle right here is the mileage on the car, which will absolutely blow you away. This vehicle right now, sitting inside of it, has 546,000 miles on it.
How clean it is.
When I first saw it on the computer earlier, I was looking at all the new inventory that's came into our store.
I kind of heard this.
Just a few years later. Wow, how'd they put this many miles on it? I don't know, but somebody...
Kind of just want to see the exterior of the car.
Tricks on you. You're like, a Toyota Prius, 546,000 miles. You know, I went on YouTube earlier and I started typing. I'm like, high mileage Toyota Prius. And of course, the number 3 video comes up with me about 6 months ago filming a 300,000 mile Prius that we were selling.
Another one.
Check that video out.
I'm going to go visit these guys and go buy Prius from them when it's time.
And look at this, months and months later, we got a 17 model for 546. Let me show you first off how clean the car truly is. You just might want to buy it. I mean, I'm serious. Just think at a party.
I can't wait to hear how much they're going to sell this for.
Party, at an event, at a cookout, at oyster roast, hanging out with friends, looking for a subject of conversation, and you bring up, hey, did you know I got a car out there in the parking lot with 546,000 miles on it? Or, you know, your cousin or your brother, your aunt, you can go, you know, talking about cars today with high mileage, my uncle has this, or my sister, my brother. You get what I'm saying. It's just kind of cool, I think. All right, everybody, I'm going to go around the car kind of quickly here and just let you get a look at the condition of it.
It's really clean.
Now, I will tell you, on the front of the car, on the front bumper here, it does have some real fine little rock chips. You'll see where there's little spots with black. So, you know, it's got some rock chips on the front. That's going to be pretty obvious for it to have some rock chips because, again, we're talking almost Austin, South Carolina. So this car is native to this city that we're in right now. So whoever owned it obviously did a ton of traveling. I don't know, you know, did they travel for work or what? But they had to do a lot of interstate driving to rack up that many miles in really a short period of time if you think about it. Again, we're in 2022, so 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 5 years. You know, the average person does, let's say, you know, 12 to 15,000 miles a year.
7 years now.
Even if you did a small amount of driving, 10,000 miles a year, we're talking 50,000 miles in 5 years.
It took care of this car, man. Clean.
And again, if you did 15,000 miles a year, well, think about that, 15,000 miles a year for 5 years, but they did, and it's incredible the condition of the car. It's so clean, it's been well maintained. I mean, look at this, cup holders. Look like there was never a cup or never an elbow at all back here. The seats are in beautiful condition. Looks like this was never used at all, okay? Carpets are clean, roof is clean. I mean, the car
That's impressive.
is almost perfect, you know? And again, you can only imagine to have some rock chips on the front of the vehicle because of the mileage. Carfax is good on just resting your thumbs and hands right in these sections and turning on corners.
Steering wheel's torn up a little bit.
Really well. It's really held up quite nicely. Think about it, this is some type of material right here. It's not rip worn, and especially on a Prius, look at this. This is where you rest your arm.
I wonder how much they bought this for.
With this many miles. But $10,990 is a pretty good price, I would say, for this vehicle, especially when you look at the condition of it. It's been well maintained. And
$10,990? Nah, that's too high.
So again, don't hesitate to get in contact with us at the store. Ask all your questions.
For me, that's too high. I would that's how much I would spend on a Prius, but not with 550,000 miles on it. Let me make sure that's what he said.
Miles. But $10,990 is a pretty good price, I would say, for this vehicle.
Nah.
So yes, I don't have any other Priuses. That beeping is a bit annoying. Hang on a minute. So there's not really a whole lot of other Priuses or any Priuses to base the price off of with this many miles.
That's true.
$10,990 is a pretty good price, I would say, for this vehicle.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's see. Let me see what I can find on their website. I'm gonna go for a Toyota. Prius 5. It says Prius V, but Prius 5 is the one I would aim for. We'll just see what they have for that. So they have a 2012, 164,000 miles. I think Uber and Lyft is 15 years in my market. I would consider this, but I'd want something a little newer. Like right here, 2016 Toyota Prius 5 has 152,000 miles for pretty much 13 grand. It's about 3,000 more than I would want to pay, but I'd consider this as well. So then we have those two options. I think this is a better option than a brand new Tesla for rideshare, even though it doesn't qualify for rides that pay better. Like, we just came off of the winter season where a bunch of people were complaining about how slow it was compared to, you know, the pandemic or even before. And it's so weird for me for people to quickly turn around and go pay 40, 50, $60,000 on a brand new car despite that information, despite the fact that people are protesting because of decreased wages, despite that, we're not getting paid what we were during the pandemic, despite the normal trend of Uber and Lyft axing certain ride types. Lyft just axed their Lux division of car rides, and people still they want to get that expensive thing despite a trend where Uber and Lyft are trying to pay drivers less overall through various means. So I find that a little weird, but I don't want to beat this any more than I have. I'm gonna check in on the comments and then we'll talk about how much money I made last week. Some of the strategies I've been trying to double down on improving my strategies, and I have something planned for you guys where I'm gonna show you how I'm able to predict where bonuses pop up. It won't be today. We'll touch on it a little bit, but it needs to be a full scripted video where I'm planning it, showing you the proper B roll. I don't want to do it live because I make mistakes when I do things live. And I think that the concept of the video is really good, and you guys deserve to have an in depth look at how I'm predicting bonuses. There's like 5 different ways to do it. And I think it's important. It's a lot of extra work. And I just want to make sure I do it right. So let me look at the comments. Here we go. Lots of comments, nice and early. Hello, you guys are vibrant today. We got Mike B. Mike B was first. Alexandra, hello, hello. I was doing some Uber this morning. I take a lot of motivation from you when I drive. I appreciate that. I too did some Uber and Lyft this morning. I got up at like 3 a.m., went out and drove, came home, took a nap, got ready for the podcast. And the reason I take a nap is because after the podcast, my butt is going right back out there. I'm trying to catch up. I'm a little behind from where I would like to be for the year. I'm trying to close out February with as much money as possible. We got about 3 days left. If I can make $1,000 in those 3 days, I'll be pretty happy. So yeah, I'm out here grinding with you guys too. Silver Fox says, I compared new Tesla would win that battle. I compared new to new Tesla would win that battle. Maybe. Maybe. So for me, I don't think it would. I drive too much. I would have to set superchargers, and based off of the math that I've done in that video, and you can push back on this, supercharging is more expensive from a fuel cost perspective per mile than it is for a Prius. So I'd be supercharging a lot. Like I'm out on the road for 12 hours at a time. And then not just that, the busy part of town doesn't have superchargers. I'd have to drive 20 minutes away to go to the supercharger at the mall in Charleston, fill up, and then go back downtown. I just, for how much I drive, I don't think it would be worth it just on a fuel basis. And if the fuel basis doesn't make up for the cost difference for the car, then it's kind of irrelevant, you know? And then on top of that, there is an electric version, like a plug-in electric version of the Prius. So I'm curious about which one you did. But either way, I wouldn't get a new car. Please don't get a new car for Uber and Lyft. Just don't. I don't see, no one has made a great argument for why someone should get a brand new car. Even a 2-year-old car will save you significantly more money than the new car. Just based, in 2 years, a car depreciates about to like 60 something percent. So 40% of the value of your car is gone in 2 years. Why not let someone else hit that depreciation and then you buy that car? Financially speaking, like if you want a new car, there's like, the only time I'd be okay with someone getting a new car is if you have a net worth of over $1 million, including your house and investments, whatever that might be, and you have a fully funded emergency fund, and you have no debt. That's the only time I would say someone should get one. And that's not a financial justification. I think we as humans, we want things, and it's okay to want things, but it's not okay to want things when they set you back in life. So if your life is well put together, you want a Tesla, a brand new Tesla for rideshare, even though it doesn't make 100% complete financial sense, I'm on board with it if you can afford it. I just don't think most of us are in a position to afford it yet. So if you want to work your way towards that, I support you. But based off of what I've seen from the rideshare community, we're not all there financially. Most of us aren't. Now, I'm not either, and I'm trying to be, but most of us aren't. Alexandra says, I used a Prius V, big one, ugly but efficient. Yeah, that's the one I would go for. The old Priuses are all ugly, but the brand new Priuses, they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. What year are we in? 2024? 2024 Prius. I like the yellow one. I always show the yellow one. Look how sleek that is. So sleek. Can we zoom in? Yeah. But again, as tempting as I am to get this because of how sleek they look, it's not rendering correctly. I would not buy a brand new anything for Uber and Lyft. And if you're gonna buy a brand new anything, shoot, you're gonna buy a car, period. I'm team no more debt. So you have to pay cash for it. So if you want to buy a $40,000-$50,000 Prius, on top of all the requirements I just said, I would still like save up the cash and do it. Just because you go out, you get a car loan, you get banned from Uber and Lyft. Now you're rough. It's rough, right? Versus you pay cash for that, it's still gonna suck. But instead of it being an emergency, it's now just a huge inconvenience. And that's kind of the difference between having debt and not having debt. You know, I paid off my car in December. January, my check engine light came on. I thought there was a problem. I didn't screw in the gas cap enough. But my first thought was, man, this is going to suck. But at least while it's in the shop, I don't have a car payment. I don't have to worry about that aspect. And even if, my car got totaled, insurance didn't want to pay out, something happened, I know that it's still going to suck. It's going to be a huge inconvenience, but I'm not going to be here paying a car payment on a car that I can't drive. So I just want to practice insulating ourselves from things that could happen before we make decisions that don't make as much sense financially. So that's kind of what I really want from you guys. And sometimes I want to, it's difficult, right? I'm here. This is live. There's going to be information I might miss. There are going to be mistakes that I make versus, and if most of you probably haven't seen my older videos where I script it, I do my research, I'm fact checking, I'm double checking, and then I'm presenting it to you, editing and putting it out. That is easier than regurgitating information live and making points live. And so I make more mistakes when I am live, and I'm not conveying the message in a way that I think will resonate with you guys live. So it is more difficult. Give me a little leeway here. So I don't want you guys to feel like, so there are some things I want to clarify. Someone left a comment saying that their plan is to be a long-term rideshare driver. And I feel like I've never really clarified what someone who wants that should do. I've only clarified that my goal is not to be a long-term rideshare driver. And here's the path I want to follow. So I kind of want to speak into that now. If you want to be a long-term rideshare driver, there's still benefits from watching my channel. I'm here to teach you how to maximize income so you can benefit from that. If you want to be a long-term rideshare driver, I think that is okay, but only if you insulate yourself from the tomfoolery that Uber and Lyft does. That means having a paid off car. That means having a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. That means when your car is getting up in mileage, you start putting away $200 every week to start saving for your next car. That means not using debt. That means you just want to make it so where if Uber and Lyft just starts not paying enough, you're insulated from it. And you can still do Uber and Lyft because you've kept your expenses low. I know some drivers, especially here on YouTube, they're upfront with this information, paying, even some of my friends on Twitter that drive rideshare, they pay about $1,000 a month for Tesla insurance and their car payment. Anything could happen and they still have that $1,000 a month. And they also have to work about 20 to 30 extra hours per month in order just to cover that car payment. Like, think about that. They have to work 30 hours before they even break even on just their car payment and insurance. If you want to be a long-term rideshare driver, you have to insulate yourself from that. You have to pay off that debt so that, if something happens, all the internet goes down across America for a week, just like you did on what was it, Thursday, you'll be okay because you've kept your expenses low and you want to do this for a long time. And so you've prepared yourself to do this for a long time. You can also start a solo 401k, which is a retirement investment account where you can match yourself. I believe it's up to 50%. I haven't made a video on that yet because I'm not there. I try not to make too many videos about things that I'm not doing because I know that once I do the thing, I'm going to learn more and have better information to give to you. But once I'm out of debt, I'm going to start investing into a solo 401k, which is what we should be doing to retire with rideshare. So if you want to do rideshare long term, you definitely should be looking into 401k. Don't wait for me to do it and teach you. You should pay off your debt and then invest 15% of your income into a solo 401k. There are crazy benefits to the solo 401k. We won't touch into it too much. We're gonna dive back into the comments. I spent way too long on this. Way too long. Here we go. Silver Fox says, I love the Prius V. I have the Prius plugin. I would love to get the Prius plugin when it's time to get a Prius. I know they discontinued the Prius V. So if I get a Prius in 2 years, the Prius V might not be what I'm looking at. We'll see. Says, now I switch, I get a used Highlander hybrid. So I do want to dive into the XL world, and I'm not going to do it until I'm debt free. And shoot, I'll be honest with you, for the sake of content, I might buy a Tesla. I don't know if it's going to be new, but I might buy a Tesla, use it for a couple months, and then sell it, and then kind of do that with different cars to kind of review cars for rideshare. That's way down the line. I got to make sure my personal finances are set before I do things like that, because while it doesn't make sense financially just to do it for Uber and Lyft, I can kind of justify it as a YouTuber. But if I were to do an XL vehicle, I would go for a hybrid, because again, gas is our biggest thing, our biggest expense, or even maybe a used whatever the 7-seater is for Tesla. That could be an option. So my opinion was more based off of base rides, and I don't have much an opinion on XL, Comfort, Black, or whatever, just because I haven't really been doing that. So unsure about if that category of stuff is worth it, but I invite you guys on the journey to explore those stuff with me over time. 2020 to get the screen. Silver Fox says, my Prius had 432,000 when I sold it. That's dope, bro. That is such a that makes me feel happy. Yeah, 40. That's a huge number. It aged out of Lyft. That's why I sold it. That's good. Someone who might want to do food delivery, that's a good car for them, or it might be a great car for someone who's just starting to drive. Alexandra says, first easy thing to learn with car, change the air filter. I do need to change the air filter, especially since pollen season is coming up. Oh, especially with Priuses, they have like an air filter on the side of the door. If you don't change it, it'll overheat the battery. Silver Fox says, I know all the faults of Prius. They're very reliable. Each generation has its issues. Yeah, I have noticed that. I joined so in anticipation for wanting a Prius, I've joined a bunch of Prius Facebook groups to kind of learn over time. And that's what I'm talking about, like convenience versus actually like putting in the groundwork to make a great decision. That's part of the game. And the more you're willing to do, the more you're going to insulate yourself from making the mistake, which will make buying a used car more worth it. Alexandra says, when I get a car, I put covers on it. I don't trust clients getting in the car. I wish I did that earlier in the game, but I have it now. And most of the people don't even realize it's car seats. I don't recommend the fabric unless it's waterproof. When you use the waterproof seat covers, they're a little more expensive, but the reason I got a seat cover is people would make messes in my car, and I could clean them up. I had the little water vacuum and whatever. The problem was waiting for it to dry. It took like 8 hours. That's 8 hours of not driving. So with the seat covers, if someone makes a mess, I take my pictures, get my cleaning fee, clean it up. I keep cleaning supplies in my trunk in a bag, and then I can keep going. So in that sense, it's worth it. Sometimes I'm kind of like, yes, throw up. And then, I make money that way. But people have only thrown up 4 times in my car. So it's not a bunch. I've been doing it for about 3 years. I think that's okay. Alexandra says, it's never about the look. It's about the savings. I love it. 2023 Prius is the looker. Yes, it looks so nice. Watching it every day. That's what he did. He wants way too much. I give him 5K. Yeah, 5K, because they probably paid 5K for it. And then, they have to do the dealership markups. That's way too much. I agree. Miss Jones says that's way too much. I agree. Miss Jones says you can get an absolute new car for that price. For 10K, I don't know what new car you'd get, but you could definitely get a better car for that price. Wait. Oh man, wait. Okay. Whoa. I just saw something interesting, and I think I over scrolled. You can get absolute car. Check car gurus to see for Prius. I got a 2014 Prius V. I thought he was gonna say 2024. I'm like, show me. Prius V was made till 2017, so I guess that's the last year for that model. My Prius was 2K. Nice. With 100K for 14K less, 197,000 miles. Tesla only works with home charging, and my market superchargers are everywhere. Silver Fox, Tesla only works with home charging. What does that mean? Oh, you mean financially speaking, Tesla only works with home charging. Actually, I'm glad we kind of dipped into this, because I forgot to include this in my comparison video, but I'm gonna show you like this. Okay, let me just bring it up. Tesla policy commercial supercharger. This is really important. I can't believe I forgot to put it in my video. This is from the official terms of use page on Tesla. Like, I'm not making this up. This isn't from some blog or we're interpreting it incorrectly. It says supercharger fair use policy. To help ensure superchargers are available for the intended use, we ask that you not charge your vehicle using a supercharger if your vehicle is being used for a commercial purpose and they list, such as taxi or for ride sharing through services like Uber and Lyft, unless you charge on a pay per use basis. So straight on their website, they're not big fans of people using superchargers commercially, and they've also introduced surge pricing for superchargers. Superchargers surge pricing. Most superchargers use per kWh billing, meaning you will be billed for each use of kWh of electricity, kilowatt hours, to charge your battery. The pricing is different at each supercharging location, but it's typically around 25 cents per kWh. So that's not even really what I'm talking about. Congestion fee is what it's called. Let's see if we can just quickly find it. At certain supercharging locations, congestion fees will replace idle fees. A congestion fee is a fee you pay when a supercharger is busy and your vehicle's battery is above a certain level. So not even full, just above a certain level. You can see the battery charge level where congestion fees apply on your vehicle's touchscreen. Congestion fees only apply when the supercharger is busy. Your vehicle's battery is already at or above the congestion fee level, which they haven't even told us what that is yet. If you meet all of the above criteria during your supercharging session, you'll receive an alert in the Tesla app. You will have 5-minute grace period to disconnect your vehicle and leave before congestion fees apply. I think this is okay, but bad for rideshare drivers. I think it's an okay policy for the general population, but as a rideshare driver, if you need to charge in order to make money, your ability to wait is like your time is more valuable than someone who's just charging and not using their car to make money. So this is something to think about, to consider. I don't know how rampant it is, and I don't have one, but I completely forgot to put this in my video when I was making my points. But this isn't rideshare friendly. It's not. I'm not even making that up. It's like directly from their website. I'm not making this stuff up, guys. Just quickly, I'm just reading through these. What kind of music do you play in your car? I had a lady complain about instrumental music. I play Dave Ramsey in my car. If they don't want to learn about money, they can get their own headphones. I've been thinking to myself, what happened to the days where everyone had headphones? Like, I remember, like, before headphones went wireless, everyone would have headphones, especially on public transportation. Like, if you're an avid Uber and Lyft taker, why wouldn't you have your own headphones? I don't know. It bothers me. But I play Dave Ramsey. I don't do instrumentals. I try not to do music unless it's requested, just because I'm not trying to play DJ while I'm trying to drive. Um, and so I just play Dave Ramsey. And usually, if two people get into a car, I'll turn the music off. Take that back. Whenever anyone gets into the car, I just turn the radio off, music, radio, whatever it is. I just turn it off. I give them the ability to speak. Right? I don't want them speaking over, yelling, or whatever. So I give them the ability to speak. If they're quiet and the conversation between me and them, or the two of them, go nowhere, then I'll play whatever I was playing. Sometimes I'm listening to things for myself, and like I like listening to Lex Friedman, but sometimes Lex interviews people who are like into politics, or they talking about Israel and Palestine, or talking about this and that. I will just leave it off until they're out of the car and resume, because honestly, listening to Dave Ramsey 24/7 is boring. But I will say Dave Ramsey puts out 3 hours of content every day, Monday through Friday. So I'm always behind on whatever he's talking about. And it's always nice to have something to listen to, even if I will eventually find it boring just from the sheer amount that I listen to. So very big on podcasts. You want to be aware of what you're listening to when people are in your car. I know it is your car, but This is a service industry. Your tips will increase the more you cater to those around you, even if you don't want to. So I get that. Good question. Really good question. Silver Fox says they mean for people that had free superchargers for life. Yeah, I did pick up on that. So that is correct because they did stipulate about paying per charge. So that is fair. I do think it's unfortunate but fair that they would change that clause. I'd feel cheated though, but I do think it's fair overall. So good point. Good call out. Silver Fox says the 2012, 2016 Model S. Alexandra says, thank you so much for reading our chat. We appreciate it. Keep pushing. We'll be out of debt someday. I love it. You're welcome, man. This is my favorite part of hanging out with the chat. I'm someday, maybe in a week or two, I plan on having like office hours where I'm not very great at responding to YouTube content, the comments that are left on my YouTube videos just because of time. And I am my best self when you guys can see me. Like I know that I'm best in person. I know that my words can kind of seem, what's that word? Like condescending. There you go. So I know that when I talk through text, my words can kind of come off as condescending. But when you guys can see my reactions, what I'm trying to say, what I mean, my facial expressions, you get a much better picture of what I'm really trying to say. So I think I'm just gonna set up some office hours, maybe on a Sunday, where I'm just live answering questions that are on YouTube videos, like typing them out, while giving you guys the ability to ask me questions live that I can respond to. So that's something I might do eventually once I get some more time. I guess time is the factor here. Alexandra says videos I would like to see from you, maybe a video you showing having Uber and Lyft on your phone with your fold. I'm working on it. I'm the video I'm planning where I'm predicting bonuses. You'll see some of it. I should make a dedicated video for it, and I will. I just a lot of the time I'm having to drive like Lyft. Like for example, I have a challenge for 60 rides for like $200 this week. So I'm just gonna drive Lyft for that time, and then once that's done, I have a guarantee with Uber where I need to do 210 rides. So I'm just gonna drive Uber. I need to find a good night where I'm actively using both. I do have some footage from New Year's where I did use both, so I could use that, but we'll see. I'm working towards it. I'm gassy, sorry. Silver Fox says I don't play music. Good call. Miss Jones says I always give the passenger the option to let me know if they have a preference of music, even though they never take it. I don't like asking them. I kind of hate. So Google recently canceled their podcast app and they moved all the podcasts to the music app. So if I play music, I have to go back and search for the podcast. So I don't offer it, but if they ask for it, I'll give it to them. My preference is to give them the Bluetooth because I don't want to be there navigating on my phone while people are in my car, especially when everyone else around me is drunk. Like, no. So I don't offer it, but what I could do is I could find a solution. I could find a way for them to, like, I can have a device back there, like an old phone, and let them just pick the music straight up from the phone. That's probably something I should look into. Mike B says, did we ever solve the problem with online time versus active time? Because if online time didn't matter, then why am I capped at 12 hours a day? Did we ever solve the problem? No. But I have come to a conclusion of how I feel about online time versus active time. I think that there are three major times. I think that we have online time, we have active time, and then we have door-to-door time. I have started paying more attention to door-to-door time, but I also think that active time and online time are still important and that we should use that information to compare, you know? So here are a couple of examples. For active time, I'm able to see that when I'm on the way to a passenger or a passenger is in my car, how much money I'm making, right? So I can say, all right, on this Friday, my active time equated out to $50 an hour. And then I can look at, the previous Friday and say that my active time equivalated to $40 an hour. And I can use those two numbers to kind of compare, like what happened on this Friday that made my active time so high, right? Now, online time, I can turn that into a ratio. If I was online for 100 hours for easy numbers, but I had an active time of 40 hours, I know that I have a ratio of 60 to 40. So I'm spending 60 hours online without making money, and then 40 hours actively making money. And then my goal would be, how do I close that gap? How do I make my active time as close to my online time as possible? So we're just, I'm happy they gave us more numbers. I'm not a fan of the numbers they are prioritizing, but that doesn't mean that we have to prioritize it just because they are prioritizing it. So I've kind of walked back a little. I used to think the most important metric was online time, but now I'm finding that door to door time for me is the most important metric. I hope it is for you as well, but not everyone drives the same. And when I think about door to door time, it's up for grabs if you want to calculate breaks and things like that. But for me, I want to know if, and I have a really good example. Friday, you know what? Let's start diving into. All right, I'll talk about it, but then you'll see when we start diving into how much money I made. On Thursday with the AT&T outage, I went out and I drove, and it, we'll just let's do it now. It don't even make sense. Let's start talking about how much money I made last week and what I learned last week by testing different things, paying attention to online time, and paying attention to door to door time and active time. And then I'm going to show you how it can be deceiving depending on like who is talking to you, or you can use it to make better decisions. So let's just do that. As for those of you who are new here, this is Windows Link. It connects my phone. It lets me pull apps up from my phone through my desktop. So this is actually the Lyft app. This is actually from February 19th till February 25th. We're going to start at the bottom. I had guests over my house. They left on Thursday. So for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I didn't drive. It's okay. I enjoyed them. They're great people. So here's for Thursday. I can't really zoom in more than this. Thursday, February 22nd, I did 13 rides. I was online for 5 hours and 41 minutes, and I made $251. So let me break the calculator out so we can start breaking down how deceptive this can be, right? So I made $251. We'll divide that by, let's call it 6 hours. Let's round up and say I drove for 6 hours. That's $41.83 per hour. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Except I had about 6 hours where I wasn't driving. And I'm gonna justify that in a second. So let's see what the new math will say, right? My door-to-door time was about 12 hours. So we'll say $251 divided by 12, $20 an hour. It's not great. It really isn't great. But what's being hidden here is that I got a flat tire. I was driving, got a flat tire. My car was on a slope on grass. The shoulder wasn't big enough for me to pull over on the shoulder of the highway. So it was on a slope on grass. I'm capable of changing my own tire and plugging a tire if it's pluggable, right? I keep that stuff in the car. The problem is with the standard jack, which is what I had, the likelihood of the car falling off the jack was high. And if the car fell off the jack when the tire was off the car, I'd be in much bigger trouble otherwise. So I decided that for the first time ever, I would use Lyft's roadside assistance. As a platinum driver, I get to use Lyft's roadside assistance up to twice every 90 days. So I asked the guy to come out to change my tire for me. He came out, he had the proper big jack stand that wouldn't slide on the hill and changed my tire for me. He put on the spare for me. I took the spare. I drove to the nearest gas station. I plugged my tire and I filled it up with air. I got food. I drove around the block a couple times and I retested how much air was in it after I drove around the block. It was still leaking. So I said, all right, this plug is not working. And I'm just going to suck it up and buy some tires. Now, when I buy tires, I buy 2 at a time, just so I can track them and know the wear and tear on them. And my tires are rated for 30,000 miles. I had put about 50,000 miles on them and they were still good. They still have some tread left, but I had already got my value out of it. So I don't feel too bad. I paid about $230 for 2 new tires. And that took time, right? I had to get the tire changed. I got new tires at the flat. I had to wait for the tow truck to come. It was like during traffic time. I'm testing driving during traffic time so I can put a video together for you guys to teach you how to maximize your income while driving through traffic. And I'm having some good success for it, right? You saw my numbers. It's pretty good success for it. But I spent 6 hours outside of my house dealing with rideshare stuff without making money. So, of course, it's not something you're going to experience every day, but this is an example of how it can be extremely deceiving if you only let YouTubers and other drivers talk to you about active time. So, you know, here we are. But, right, because we can see active time, we can say that despite the fact that, my tire blew, I had to take care of some things, we can see that it was still busy when I was in a position to capitalize on rides. So that's why I think active time is still important. It still has some use cases, but it's not the entire story. And it's important to get as much of the entire story as possible. Right. And then on top of that, right, beyond the fact that my door to door time was like 6 hours, I was practicing testing, only taking rides when there were bonuses close by. So if I picked up someone in the bonus zone and I dropped them off in an area that did not have a bonus zone, I would turn my app off, which would stop my online time, and I would drive to go and pick them up, and then or drive to the bonus area, bonus zone, and chase down those bonuses. Doing that makes it look like I made almost $60 an hour, but that's not the reality. The reality is we need to value, or not even just value, we need to know when we leave our house to go and make money, what percentage of that time is spent actually making money? Because that can help us make a decision on, all right, I might be leaving my house an hour or two too early because my active time is very low during those time periods. Right. So let me focus on doing this instead. And you can't make those decisions without knowing and understanding your numbers. So just to be clear, I am saying that I used to think online time was just the most important thing. But if you're driving two apps and you have two apps on at the same time, your online time won't be accurate. Right. So I have now pivoted to thinking that door to door is the best time. And I actually took a survey on this to see how other drivers feel. And that, I haven't really looked at the results yet. So let's go and look at the results. We're going to go to my YouTube channel. On the home page, if you scroll over to where it says community, I think it says right here, community, you see some posts that I put up from now and then. Is buying a new Tesla for Uber and Lyft a great idea? So 16% said yes, 84% said no. How do you feel about strike every? That's and go anywhere. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for either. Okay, it's not what I'm looking for either. Did I not post it? Okay, yeah, here it is. What is the best metric for measuring your time as a rideshare driver? 39% said online hours, 8% said active hours, 2% said door to door, 33% said dollars per mile. That is important. And 18% said amount of money in bank account. So the reason why I don't use the amount of money in my bank account, even though I've been called out publicly to show the amount of money in my bank account, is because I have income that goes into my bank account that's not even rideshare related. So it'd be unfair for me to judge how great of a rideshare driver I might be based off of my bank account when my bank account has sources in there that aren't just from rideshare. So one, that's kind of relevant. Two, I at the end of the month I dump all of the extra money I have. That's not like my emergency fund or money for bills. All that extra money I have is going towards paying off debt until I am debt free. So it still wouldn't be an apples to apples comparison if I'm comparing my bank account to someone who has a bunch of debt, but they're not paying off their debt, but their net worth is actually negative. So that's why I don't do it. But it's interesting to see that, different numbers mean different things to different people. And I'm not saying some people are right or some people are wrong, but I am saying that it doesn't have to be black and white. You can use all of these numbers to make more money, right? If you've seen that your dollars per mile is fantastic, but your online hours are bad, then there's a strategy that you might be able to find to bridge that gap, right? Because someone who's sitting at the airport might make a lot of money per mile, but they might not make a lot of money per hour, right? So we shouldn't fall into thinking that this one metric is the best metric. I used to be a district manager who looked at all numbers, right? And I think that that's what we have to do to make money here, to make better decisions, is looking at the numbers objectively and stop picking favorites. We should be looking at where are we performing the worst, and let's try to improve there. And then as we fix that, we need to be constant problem solvers. Let's fix the worst problem, because the worst problem probably has the most, fixing the bottom of the barrel problem will probably have the most benefit in our overall income, right? If we're trying to fix a problem that's not really a problem, it's not going to move the needle that much. But if we're not making a lot per hour, but we find ourselves making a good amount of dollars per mile, fixing the dollars per mile is not going to make you significantly more money, but fixing the amount you make per hour will. So we need to, I got to maybe make a spreadsheet or add it to the spreadsheet that I use to track my income so that we can kind of like find a way to bridge that gap. But I need some mental room to actually like think that through. So yeah, so interesting stuff on that. But let's get back to rolling through the income. So Thursday, $251.11. Friday was excellent. I don't know, there was no specific event that was happening. It was kind of the first warm weekend in a while. Friday, I worked about 12 hours, but it's the online active door to door. I made $409 over the course of 8 hours. Let's do some quick math on that. Is that like $50 an hour? I'm gonna stop doing math in my head on stream because doing math live makes me nervous and I make mistakes and then they turn into videos and then people hold it against me. So $51.12 per hour. But if we do the 12 hours that I actually drove, divide that by 12, it's $34. Still great, right? Still fantastic. But we can see that I'm doing very well with active time, that I have room for improvement for door-to-door time. And then Saturday was even better. Even better. I made $533 on 9 hours. The bonuses were very great, very strong. I had a moment in time. I'm starting to feel like my old self, my old working hard self. I dropped the passenger off. That was like a 30-minute drive from downtown to where I live, like a couple streets from where I live. I went home, I took a break, like a bathroom break, got some water, and I'm so proud of myself for going back on the road. At that point, I had made $400. My goal is $300 a day. That's my goal. I already crushed that goal. I wanted to become an elite driver that night because Saturday was the last night I could do it. I crushed that goal. I wanted to, what was my other goal? Hit my ride challenge. I crushed that goal as well. And I had all my goals crushed and I still went back out there to make more money. And I'm proud of myself for that because I was tired. I was beat. I was exhausted. But the way I kind of worked it out in my head was, Tristan, you're tired, you're beat, and you're exhausted. If you quit now, you're going to regret it tomorrow. It's like I've already suffered. I might as well finish the suffering and finish strong. And I did. And I'm proud of myself. I also, I'm trying to treat today as always being the best day to make the most money possible because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? The winter, I need to make enough money now to bridge the gap for down season. So as we start ramping into busy season and we start getting out of like slow season, keep that in mind. Remind yourself of the difficulties we faced over this winter from November until February, about how much more difficult it was to make money than it's ever been before. So start thinking about that. Start saying, all right, let me put some extra effort in to this season so that when the slow season comes, I'm prepared and I'm okay. So that's how my brain was working. And then Sunday, I took Sunday off. I spent some time with the wife. We went to watch Demon Slayer. They have a advanced screening of the next season. I know some nerdy stuff, but this was actually from this morning. I started driving like around 4ish a.m. The day resets at 5 a.m. So I did a little thing here. And then I made a good little chunk before I came home, took a nap. I made some mistakes while driving through traffic. I let traffic get to me, and my strategy usually revolves around getting ahead of traffic. But I was being a little too greedy. I saw some great bonuses, and then they kind of put me in traffic. And so I just decided to call it. Still learning, learning on your guys' behalf, try to figure out a good strategy to teach you guys if you guys want to drive during traffic times, because not everyone has the availability to drive whenever they want. You got kids who have school. So I'm working on a video where I'm going to try to show you how to maximize your income during traffic. I didn't do too much Uber. I did like one ride for like $5. So I'm not even going to go over that, but we can quickly go through the spreadsheet. This is not the spreadsheet. This is Reddit. This is a spreadsheet that I made. You can get access to it by supporting me on Patreon. It's located in the link of every single one of my videos. So this is for February. I didn't put my mileage in from this morning. Like I started it, right? So this would be Sunday. This is the personal. And then I'd have to just put my whatever I drove this morning. So it's just missing Sunday, but that's fine. So far in February, I've driven Hold on. Gotta use the right screen. I've driven 2,739 miles. You can see my personal mileage down here. It shows you what I started with beginning of the month and where I'm at now, or at least most recently. I've made $3,234 so far this month. I should be making at least like $8,000 per month if I want to do 100,000 per year. So I am behind. And I need to fix that. In March, I'm going to try to make $400 a day. We'll see how that goes. I drove 86 hours so far this month, and that works out to an hourly total, a per hour total of $37.21. Of course, that's before taxes and expenses. Per mile is $1.18 before taxes and expenses. I put in all of my known expenses so far. So gas, I've spent $235 so far this month. I had to get tire bulbs. I had to get light bulbs. I buy them in sets of two, so $36.36. I had to get two new tires, so $222.98. I finally got my insurance locked in. It's even cheaper than what we spoke about last week. So for my car, we got paired with an insurance company that only takes very qualified drivers. And as a result, they're able to keep their prices very low because the drivers they work with are drivers who get into car accidents. So me and my wife have been very clean with our driving records. She has phenomenal credit score. My credit score has improved because I paid off my debt. Not that I care about credit score, but it does play a role into what they give you for insurance. This particular company doesn't differentiate from rideshare insurance. They let you drive. If you get into an accident, they consider your policy as if it was regular or not. So there's no rideshare endorsement needed. And I made sure I clarified that. Got them on recording saying it too. So for my half of the insurance, not even my half, for what my car is, because you can see the prices based off of your car. I pay $112.75 a month now for insurance. Before, with Progressive, before they try to increase their amount, it was about $220. And after the increase of amount, it would have been about $300 just for my car. And so I'm really glad that we took the time to talk to an insurance broker so that the insurance broker can get us a list of options. And I would have never found this option. It's called Auto Insure, I think. Auto Insure. Like, it's such a bad name. Liberty Mutual. They're like old school. Direct auto insurance, freeway insurance. They're old school. They don't really have like the technology to kind of manually check through everyone. I gotta find out what the name is. Give me a second. I'm gonna hide my screen, go to my email, and find out what the name of the auto insurance company is so that you guys can see if you can get with them, you know? Right, let's see. Pulling up my ID card. Auto owners insurance. Okay, auto owners insurance. So we'll just click on this. So this is them. It's my zip code. I'm not doing all that. So yeah, go check them out. You know, it's Auto Insurance Group is not an insurance company. We help you make an informed decision about auto insurance by showing you rates from other companies. I don't think this is them. Hold on. That's an ad that I clicked. There we go. This is it. Simple human sense. We work with independent agencies who provide local personalized expertise. So this is who I got it through. Now, I've never heard of them previously, but I spoke to my broker about them. I checked out their website. You know, they seem to be clean, you know, very old school. Not it's. I'm confident with them, so I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy we looked. And that's my encouragement to you guys to always look. So then there's car wash. There's no other payment that I have with my car, unless I'm forgetting something, outside of these. I don't have a car payment. I paid off my car in January. Big W. You know, if you're a Tesla driver and you use that, you know, you might have to add $1,000 to this. I'm just making fun of you guys right now. Sorry. Just chilling. And then over here, this is my favorite part of the spreadsheet. It shows you your mileage write-off based off of, you know, the 67 cents per mile that we get. It shows you what your taxable income would be based off of the deduction. This tax rate needs to be updated. I don't know what it will be. I still haven't done my taxes, but my taxes will tell me what my tax rate is. But for my estimated taxes, so far in February, $209.90. My true net after expenses and after taxes is $2,396. And on an hourly basis, that means I've made $27.58 after taxes and expenses. That's super important. $27 after expenses and taxes. That's pretty good. I think that's good. You might not, but who knows? At the bottom of my spreadsheet, there's the summary page. The sheet itself is finished. I just haven't written in my expenses categories yet. That's on me. But it does pull all the data from the previous months, and you can kind of see what my total is. So far this year, I've made $8,333. If I could get to 10,000 before March is over, so 10,000. If I had $10,000 made, that means I need to make 90,000 more dollars to get to 100,000, and I would have 10 months to do that. So I would need to make $9,000 per month. I hate this calculator. $9,000 per month, and that's how many days are left in the year once March starts. Let's do that. March has 31 days. 2024 is leap year, so there are 312 days left in 2024. I'm just gonna go with that. So I would divide that by 312. So I would need to make $280 a day at minimum. $288 a day at minimum. My goal for March is $400 a day. I think March and April are going to be like the biggest times of the month. We have St. Patrick's Day. We have some festivals going on. It's getting warmer. So I'm going to try to get ahead because I am behind from where I should be. So that's the goals. Even if I fail at hitting my goals, you know, one of my favorite sayings is shoot for the stars. And if you fail, you still land on the moon. Something like that. So even if I fail, I think it'll put me closer to my goal of paying off all my debt. Okay, so we spent way too much time on that. Let's take a second and look at how much other drivers have made in other markets. And I need to pull that up. So we're going to be using an app that shows us how much drivers made in other markets. You can find it. It's linked below. I believe in you. You can find it. It's in there. Give me a second pulling it up. All right, here it is. This is the Solo app. I do want to talk about how proud I am of my city. So usually when I come on this app, this number last week, this number was like $14 an hour. You can see it's up 47% from the last week. I don't know why Lyft has exploded over the weekend. It was busier than usual. It was I don't know what was going on. There's no special event going on. It was just, I guess, a lot of people and not a lot of drivers. And for those of you who drove, you guys took advantage of it. And I'm proud of you guys. Proud of you guys, because I was harping on you guys that, you know, I'm over here averaging on a bad night $30 an hour, and you guys are averaging $14 an hour, and that's not great. Like, you can't do much on $14 an hour. So I'm still kind of doubled this if you look at active time, but active time is not the whole story. But I'm proud of you guys. Uber only went up 3%. Uber was not great last week. So proud of you guys. Despite the fact that I only worked 3 days last week, I still made the most money in my market somehow. You can see me here. Well, I guess I came second. Yeah, I came second. So this is me. I made $1,153 according to them. The days, their numbers aren't 100% accurate to Lyft and Uber's numbers because they reset the numbers at midnight on Sunday, while Uber and Lyft reset their numbers at 4 or 5 a.m. So there's a little discrepancy between what I show you and what they show. But I came second. But I only worked 3 days last week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, you know, good job to whoever beat me. But if I had worked 4 more days, I could have made more money. And I'm only saying that to illustrate what my market potential really is. I probably could have made $1,000 over those 4 days just by chilling. So I could have made at least $2,000 last week in my market. And I consider my market to be a mid-cap market, small market. Let's see what people did around the nation, all metros. So the number one driver again, DoorDash, Arizona, he made $2,984. Salt Lake City is here, $2,684. Atlanta, Georgia's up here, $2,354. Las Vegas coming in fourth, $2,339. I think they had like some race or something going on last week. I don't remember. I saw some of it in like on Facebook. New York, $2,316. Houston, Texas, coming in at 6, $2,201. Number 7, Newark, New Jersey, $2,194. That's pretty good. Los Angeles makes the list, $2,193. Washington, D.C., $2,156. And at number 10, down the road from me, Columbia, about 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, $2,155. Pretty good. Got Orlando, Florida in 11th. Last week I tried to scroll down to see how many people made over $1,000, and I was scrolling for a very, very, very long time. And this list might be shorter. I'm gonna keep scrolling. I don't want to scroll. I'm not doing this today. We're not doing this today. So let's see how many made over 1,500, since we're already like around the vicinity. All right, so 117 people made more than 1,500. I think if you can make more than $1,000 in a week, that you're okay, right? I think that should be kind of like the floor, unless your lifestyle can be afforded with less money. But if you're trying and you're making less than $1,000, I think you need to reevaluate what's happening either in your market by checking out how much money people in your market are making, or just reevaluating if it's your strategy that can be improved. I'm going to check in on the comments, and after the comments, we're going to go through some. After the comments, we're going to dive into how Uber stole some money from me. Like, that's the best way I can put it. There's a glitch out there that's going to take your surges away from you, and I'm not the only person experiencing this. But let me check in on the comments first. Silver Fox says, I have the Lyft tablet. I wish I qualified. I signed up for it, but they haven't sent it to us yet. Do you make money from the Lyft tablet? I hope so. I hope so. Alexander says, I've tried to get the Octopus tablet, but no success. What went wrong? I'm curious about what went wrong. It should be available to everyone in America. Mike B says that I like that. I also like Lyft's book time percentage. I aim for 85%. I don't have access to that information yet. They don't show me the split. They don't show me the percentage yet. Not in my market. I would like to have it. I want access to these things, but small market, small problems. Alexander says, I've had people fall asleep in the car. It's hilarious. Yeah, I always feel good when people fall asleep in the car because, one, they trust me. As long as they're not drunk. I don't like drunk people falling asleep in my car. I don't like having to wake them up because sometimes audio isn't enough to like my voice isn't enough to wake them up, and then I might have to like touch them, and I'm not into that whole Me Too thing. I'm not trying to end up on an episode. But I do feel good when sober people fall asleep in my car because it means they trust me with their life more than they probably should. Silverrock says, check out Anaheim, California. I got you. I love that Anaheim starts with an A. I'm going to close this app and reopen it because that's faster than scrolling. And that's really, really sad. See in Anchorage. I don't see Anaheim. Let me see. Anaheim, CA. Okay, so I'm not missing anything. I'm looking at a map to see what city it's close to. I guess I can just put it over here. Yeah, it's probably just going to be LA. It's probably just going to all be under LA. I could look at LA. That's fine. That's one of the most of my viewers are from New York or from California, so we could pull it up. LOS. So number one came in at $2,193. Number two came in at $2,009, and number three came in at $1,807 for last week, right? Yeah, for last week. Let's see where they're at so far for this week. So in less than a day, number one driver has already made $193. The number two driver has made $142. And the number 3 driver in LA has made $137. It's a good start to the week. Oops. Ron says, in between stops right now and averaging 38 an hour for today. That's awesome. I wish I could be out there making money with you. I'm happy that you're now not sick anymore. I hope you worked last weekend. Last weekend was excelente. Excellent, man. But I'm glad you're back out there making that money. Silver Fox says very little, maybe $4 to $7 a week. I got the 70% split today. All right, so there's hope for me. All right, so let's move forward. What's next on the agenda? Where's my stuff? I wish you guys could see how much tabs I always have open. It's a lot. Okay, we're gonna be talking about how the Uber glitch that stole my money. You guys need to be aware of this. One, because it's real, and two, just because you can prove it happened doesn't mean Uber's gonna let you have your money. And I still have a little hate in my heart right now for Uber over this. So this is something I shared on Twitter. I called them out publicly. See if I can scroll in here. So I said, I'm very disgusted and disappointed with Uber support for accusing me of GPS spoofing. GPS spoofing is where you make the app think you're somewhere you're not. So you might use software to say, okay, there's a $20 bonus on the map. I'm going to make it seem like I'm on top of that bonus so that I can get it, even though I'm not really there. That is what I was accused of. I said, I think there's a glitch in the Uber app that erases a driver's surge if the ride gets recalculated. And I'll show you what I mean. Here's proof because it happened twice. Please fix this, Uber. So here's a ride I got. You can see that it has a $14 surge included on it. It's right there. $17.98 for a ride that I would not have taken without the surge. It was 7 minutes to the pickup and 9 minutes. It was a round trip where they were going to the gas station and back. I thought that would be okay. Gas station runs usually don't take that long. So I was like, all right, fine. For $17.98, I'll do it. The problem was, and I recorded my screen for this. Whenever I drive, I have been getting in the habit of screen recording, not because I think they're going to cheat me, but because some of them might become good videos. There are other YouTubers who just screen record, put it up, and I'm kind of practicing and making sure I'm always recording because something cool might happen, or I might be able to pull B-roll from this. Like when I make the video on how to predict where bonuses are going to be, this is where the footage will come from. So that's why I was screen recording. So when I dropped the passenger off, I looked immediately and it recalculated and gave me $8.57. No bonus. There's no bonus here. There's no bonus. So I pulled over, contacted support. The first person I spoke to said they can't handle it and they're going to move me to someone who can. Fantastic. Annoying. I pulled up the video of the screen recording. I took a screenshot. This is where this comes from. And I sent it to them. I sent them the first photo, which is here. This is what the ride was when I took it. And because when I took them to the gas station, I didn't realize that the kitchen was still open. So they ordered food and I waited. I was like, all right, it's like a 2-mile ride and I'll wait, but I did message them. I said, hey, I'm leaving at so-and-so time, but whatever. Because I waited, Uber recalculated the ride. So I'm gonna pull my calculator up so we can figure out what the base fare was. So if the total fare was $17.98, right? And if we subtract the $14 from that, that means the base fare was $3.98. So we can see that it recalculated, and it rightfully recalculated, right? I was there longer than I should have been. So Uber recalculates the ride. The problem is they did not include the surge. So let's subtract 8.57. So for my wait, they paid me an extra $4.59, but they forgot to add the $4 surge to it. So the ride should have been $8.57 plus the $14 surge. It should have been $22.57. Now, when support handled this, they gave me this amount. So they didn't factor in the recalculation and then add the surge to it. They just put in what this said it was. And I knew that's what happened, but I'm in the midst of driving. I'm trying not to let this thing get in the way of the money I'm trying to make. And so I was like, fine, whatever. I'll take the L, but at least you're paying me what it said I should have been paid originally. Fine. I'm a forgiving person like that. Fine. The problem is that this happened again. And the second time it happened, things did not go as smoothly as this. I'm still salty over it. So this is the next ride. And it's like real late. This is like towards the end of my shift. Real late, man. And I was tired. I was beat. $18.26 for this ride. It's 8 minutes away, 12-minute trip. I had to drive a couple blocks in order to make a U-turn to take this ride. And that's what I guess prompted the recalculation. So here's how much I was paid. Oops, I keep doing that. Here's how much I was paid after the recalculation. Right. So let's bring the calculator back. So we have $18.26. The surge was $11. So the base ride was $7.26. Right. So there it is. The base ride got recalculated. So it didn't even get recalculated to add money or anything like that. It got recalculated and just took my surge off. And when I went to talk to support, this is what they said. Very unpleasant conversation. It said Uber detected irregular location activity on your account that improperly resulted in surge pricing being applied to your fare. As a result, surge pricing for this trip/order has been removed and replaced with non-surge pricing. Here's where I get really upset. I communicated to that agent that I had proof that there is no spoofing. I've been recording my screen the entire night. I could send them the entire recording for them to go and figure out what's going on. Now, I know there's some kind of game in between what Uber says they have to say versus this person is just a grunt for Uber, the support agent. But there needs to be some gray area where they need to investigate more to see how legitimate something is or isn't. Right? Glitches can happen. We're dealing with technology and we're dealing with money. So it's very important for Uber as a whole to figure out how to check and verify, right? They need to verify my claim. I could be lying to them, right? There probably are people out there who are spoofing their GPS. But if I'm telling you that I have proof that that's not the case, and all you're going to do is regurgitate your scripts, right? That you have written up on your computer as you're regurgitating to me, I have a problem with that. And because I'm not the person to go out of my way to call, someone out. And I did it publicly. They messaged me saying, "We're sorry to hear about your experience on this trip. Kindly elaborate your concern and DM us." And I did that. And all they did was to start a new support ticket that sent me around in circles. Lynn, she says, "Hey, I'm very interested to see if you got better results with DMs." She said that she has gotten better results in the past. But for me, nope. All they did was send a support agent through the app. There was nothing there, right? There's no fix. I still don't have that money. And in the grand scheme of things, that money isn't a lot of money, but it's problematic because now where I was recording my screen for content, now I'm going to be recording my screen because I need to have a way to defend myself if Uber is robbing surges from me, right? And I will say this is a glitch to the point of when they are made aware that this glitch exists and they aren't fixing it, it's no longer a glitch. They are intentionally robbing us. So this needs to be fixed. I brought it to their attention as far as I'm concerned. Now, what they do internally with that information, cool. I've discovered a glitch. You're not fixing the glitch. You're intentionally taking care of us. And sometimes I have to make sure that I am not the only one going through something in order to see how widespread something is, right? This is just what I caught. This could have happened other times and I haven't caught it, right? I've just happened to pay enough attention. If you're doing rides back to back to back, you can miss this. You really can. So I did pull up some other examples of this happening. So here's one. This is from Reddit place where regular Uber drivers go to talk with other Uber drivers. This is the subreddit for Uber. It says WTF, which stands for what the freak, is this recalculated fare? So you see the earnings. The upfront earnings was $25.88. There's no surge on this, so slightly different from what I'm going through, but I'll show you a more comparable example after this as well. And he got $5.88 for it, but he got hit with the recalculation. He says, I knew it was a unicorn when I took upfront fare of $25.88 for a short ride. No surge or promotion. It was crazy, but I had seen this type of thing once before and I got the money. I've seen that as well. Sometimes we call them silent surges, where the map won't show the surge, but after you do the ride, the surge appears somehow. Who knows? A bug. Uber recalculated this to $5.88 when I closed out the ride. I absolutely would not have taken this ride if I saw the real fare, but I jumped on it at that rate, which he rightfully should have. Does anyone have any experience with something like this? Do you think it's worth me trying to get Uber to give me the money? I don't know if it's worth it, but I will say if something is Uber's fault, Uber needs to pay. We make decisions based off of the information that is shown to us. If we make a decision based off of that information and that information changes, then we shouldn't be at fault. We shouldn't be getting paid less because of it. There might be examples where it is okay. Like, for example, if someone orders a ride for $100 going 4 hours, but they change their mind and just want to go 30 minutes down the street, yes, that should be reflective of that. But in this scenario, this isn't something that the rider did. This isn't something that the passenger did. This is something that Uber showed and didn't honor. And that, to me, is disrespectful. But that's not an apples to apples comparison. He didn't have a surge showing up, but this next example did. So this is from 9 days ago, and it's titled Uber Stealing Surges. $5 surge taken away. I contacted support and they said I was GPS spoofing, just like Tristan. I guess that's what they call it. I couldn't log back in until I read the terms of service about GPS spoofing. They never made me do that. A few days later, I lost a $6 surge. It said it recalculated the trip. I didn't even bother contacting support. The only thing both of these had in common was that I was on the freeway doing about 60 miles per hour. So now I park and accept rides with surges when it's surging. Shake my head. We shouldn't have to do that. And I was also moving when I accepted the ride on the surge. So I don't know. There's a glitch here. It's if you're not paying attention, you might lose money. And that's real, right? I'm not making this stuff up. Other people are going through this as well. So this is from 7 days ago. Uber recalculated my fare. This is a different post, right? And here's what the agent says. Uber detected irregular location activity on your account that improperly resulted in surge pricing being applied to your fare. As a result, surge pricing for this trip order has been removed and replaced with non-surging pricing. Please check your location setting and turn off any location altering software. This is what they told me too. He says, I accepted a trip, $39.50, had a $4.75 surge on it because there were no drivers in that area. I complete said trip and see it says the trip was recalculated. These assholes paid me $34.50 and say that I'm spoofing my location. I asked to speak to a supervisor after asking for a fare review and getting nowhere. They say they are the highest level and essentially for me to kick rocks. That's what they said to me the second time. The first time they actually did connect me with someone who could help me. He says this company is a joke. To be honest, I'm going to try calling in tomorrow, but really pisses me off. Pat said they paid $40. Passenger said they paid 40 something, so no wonder they're trying to do this garbage. The top comment says this is Uber's new way of cheating drivers out of pay. Search and you'll find hundreds of posts on here about the same bullshit with the same bullshit response. If you're watching this right now live, have you noticed this? And just because you haven't noticed it doesn't mean it hasn't happened to you. I have I'm on Twitter with other rideshare drivers, and some of them have chimed in on it saying they've seen something similar. Some people are noticing other glitches. So if you want to follow me on Twitter to be part of the conversation, my handle is Tristan Thomas YT. YT is like YouTube. So TRISTAN Thomas THOMAS YT. And I usually just give some micro thoughts there and go back and forth to other drivers, including Sergio, including Tip You in the app, and some other people on there. So go follow us over there. I'm gonna check in the comments, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic. The next topic is going to be I became an elite driver with Lyft. So we're gonna kind of go through that, some of the benefits of it, what I'm seeing, and how it's gonna help me hopefully make more money. I just got it yesterday, so I still need to put it through the test. Green Brown says it happened yesterday with Lyft. Others have no luck with Uber. Green Brown says it's a crime. I agree. It is a crime. And hopefully, when I take this live stream, cut that video up, I'm going to be like, how Uber is stealing from drivers with glitch. And if that doesn't get their attention, I don't know what will. All right, so we're going to move forward. All right, so I became an elite driver. I'm going to pull up my Lyft app again. I'm going to go here. Let me make sure I don't show you guys my location. So give me a second. We're going to talk about what the benefits are, and we're going to talk about what strategies I plan on using as an elite driver and the requirements to even get it. It's the requirements to become an elite driver change depending on your market. And so this is the first time I've ever gotten above platinum. Elite used to be platinum plus. They've changed it and now they've made it elite, and they've actually made the offerings better. And I'm really happy about that. So for me, I have to keep my driving score above an 80%. My acceptance rate is at 79%. They want it above 80% as well. The goal is 95%. But you can see I'm not out here accepting every single ride. Percentage on Lyft is calculated by every 100%. So if you for every 100 rides. So for every 100 rides you take, your calculation is kind of reset. So if out of the last 100 rides, if you have an 80% acceptance rate, that means you declined 20 rides, which to me, I think if you're driving at the correct times of day and you're using area filters and things of that nature, you really shouldn't be below 80%. I'm below 80% because I made some mistakes this morning. But I typically try to save my my declines for busy times so I can really hone in on capitalizing on whatever is happening, right? So it's not that difficult, right? Keep maintaining a decent percentage. I keep my cancellation rate really low. It's at 0% because if I pick a ride, I pick a ride. I'm sure I want that ride. I'm not into the whole canceling thing. I will wait the 5 minutes before I cancel if a passenger doesn't show up. Canceling weighs too heavily on the algorithm of determining your score, and so just be certain of the rides that you take. And if you take a ride and you determine it was bad, I think they give you one cancellation for free that doesn't harm you, but uh, don't take my word on that. The other one is the rating. I've never had issues with ratings. Um, sometimes one person might not like you, but if you find yourself constantly getting bad ratings, you should probably work on your customer service experience, or just talk to someone. Say, hey, was everything okay with my experience? I gotten some bad ratings in the past. Is there something back there that you're seeing that I can improve on? Just have that conversation. And I don't have safety flags, and I don't know what my service flag is about. I don't know. People just don't like everyone, and that's okay. So yeah, so you keep that up, and then you get points. So points, the struggle with points is it's not as clear cut as you think it should be. You generate 1 point for every dollar you make, not including bonuses, but including tips, right? So for example, you can see right here, this tip is included for 3 points. It was a $3 tip. What makes this difficult for me is that majority of my strategy revolves around bonuses. So I like to take a lot of quick short rides that have bonuses attached to it. The problem is if I take a short ride, the base pay is $5 and the bonus is $5. Then I'm only getting, okay, that's not a good example because it has the same number in it. Okay, let's do that again. If I have a $10 ride and out of that $10, it's an $8 bonus and the ride itself is $2, right? I will only get 2 points for that ride, despite the total ride being $10. That's great for per mile earnings and per hour earnings. But if I want to generate enough points to become an elite driver, I'm going to have to start taking rides that have bigger base pays. That means taking rides that are going to take me out of bonus zones, right? So I'm going to temporarily harm how much money I'm making per mile and how much money I'm making per hour in order to achieve elite status. So even though it was busy last weekend, I was constantly deciding between short rides and long rides and trying to get my bonuses in. So that's a real thing, right? But I believe that it is worth losing the battle for a day or two in order to win the war on earnings. I believe that what Elite is offering me will help me make the most money I've ever made in March. And I really, 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 really wanted to try it. I haven't confirmed it yet, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek into why I think this will be extremely helpful. All right. So the first reason, give me a second to navigate. I got to navigate while you guys can't see because this one involves the map. Hold on. I'm still struggling here. It's not taking me to where I'm trying to be. Oh, here we go. I might not be able to do it here on the computer. I think I have a screenshot I can show you though. So give me a second to find that screenshot. Yep, I should have it. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So as an elite driver, you get early access to scheduled rides. That might not sound like a big deal, but I use scheduled rides to help determine where bonuses might appear. I'm gonna make a video where I detail how I'm able to predict bonuses. There's several different strategies for it. But if you can see, this is an example of a scheduled ride. But if you can see what time rides are gonna pop up, how much those rides are going for, and where those rides are going for, you can kind of determine the likeliness that a bonus will appear at around that time in around that area. So even if you're not there accepting these rides, it gives you more information to determining where you should be at what time. That's one positive right there from being an elite. And on this map, everything that you see that's in pink, that little icon, it's a steering wheel with wings on it. Those are only visible to other elite drivers. Everything else that you see, like that $11 over here, that's available to everyone. But look at the amount of scheduled rides, the amount of information that being an elite driver will give you in order to determine when bonuses will pop up. For example, over here, I've always noticed that early in the morning, there's bonuses over here, but I can never really figure out when, and it'd be very risky for me to drive over there blind to figure that out. It's like 40 minutes from where I live. But now, not only can I see when a potential bonus will pop up over there based off of the starting time of these rides. Most of these rides are like 4 a.m. going to the airport. I can also plan ahead. So that alone gives me information that I need that I have been using to kind of figure out where and when bonuses will appear. I'll make a video on that. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. It's going to take some time. I have to script it out. I have to plan the B-roll. I have to get my proof. Because if I come on here and I talk without proof, you see in the comments, I get called a liar or a shell, or I'm paid by Lyft, I'm paid by Uber, whatever. So I have to make sure I do it right if I'm going to do it. But this is just one benefit of having access to the scheduled rides. Another benefit is, you see this 6:30? I think this was on what day it was. What day was it? I think it was on Sunday or Monday. No, it was on Sunday. I ended up not taking it, but this is close to where I live. This ride is starting close to where I live. Normally, I would have to, if I want to make money downtown, which is about 20 minutes from where I live, I would have to drive downtown without someone in my car or use a filter, right? I can use the filter that says, hey, only give me rides that take me to this location. And it can be hit or miss, but then I would have to use the filter and I would have less stay within an area filters to use once I'm downtown. As a platinum driver, we only have access to 4 filters. If I use the filter to get downtown, and then I use the filter to get home, only have 2 filters to use to stay within an area. And that's only 6 hours total, right? So with this, I'm able to see all the rides on the map. And I can say, all right, there's this ride that is going in the exact same direction that I'm going at 6:30. So let me start at 6:30, take that ride, and then use my stay within an area filter to stay downtown. That's $20 that I would have made for doing what I had traditionally done for free. Right? So that is a benefit. It's not always going to work out the way you want it to work out. You might have to like push and pull with it, but having the ability to do it. You can see down here it says early access. I only have the ability to do it because I'm an elite driver. So we're still kind of just talking about one benefit, which is the scheduled rides. From that one benefit, we're kind of having two use cases in which we're saying, okay, I can make more money because of this thing. So we have like two things that can increase our potential income just from one feature, one benefit of being an elite driver. It's pretty dope. So we'll go to the next one, but of course, to navigate, I'm gonna have to close my screen off. All right, so let's see. Pull up the Lyft app again. Give me a second. Navigating on something that is designed for mobile with your mouse is difficult. So be patient with me. So here's another feature that I'm gonna have to test it. You guys really know I'm not big on airports, but you guys do know I am big on testing and retesting things, and this might make being an airport driver worth it. Maybe we'll see. But you get premium airport pickups with Elite. It says every time you join an airport queue, you'll get bumped ahead in line by 30 minutes. You also have access to destination filters, and filters used for airport pickups will not count towards your daily limit. So that's already beneficial. I love my filters. They help me make a lot of money, and I've seen that a lot of drivers don't use them. Are typically drivers who have really high, really low acceptance rates. But if you were able to have filters, they would boost your acceptance rate because it would keep you in the area you want to stay in, giving you better access to rides. But whatever. To me, this is a minor thing, something that I still have to test, but it's not a big deal for me. For airport drivers, it might be, but not for me. The next one is enhanced street bonuses. Street bonuses don't matter too much because I barely see street bonuses anymore. Street bonuses are something that they don't even really have anymore. I haven't seen a street bonus in so long, so I'm not even gonna stay too long on that. So with Platinum, you get 4 filters, right? You guys know I love my filters. Being an elite driver gives you access to 6 filters. So that means, all right, so let's work out the math. For an area filter, which is where you set the little bubble and you only get rides that keep you in that bubble, that only lasts for 3 hours. If I wanted to work 12 hours, I would have to use 4. So I'd use 4 times 3, 12 hours if I want to stay within that area for 12 hours. But that means I couldn't use the head towards destination filter, which would take me from home to downtown or from downtown to home. But now that I can use 6 filters, I can use the head toward destination filter, which will take me from home. Any rides on the way to getting to downtown, I can do 4 destination filters, like stay within an area, and then I can save one, head back towards destination to go back home. So this will we spoke earlier about how there are benefits to knowing what your active time is, knowing what your online time is, and tracking your door-to-door time. I suspect that because now I have access to more filters, I will be able to bridge my active time closer to my door-to-door time, meaning I'm maximizing my time as much as possible. That means no more turning the app off to go home or keeping the app off to go to where I would like to start. I can start from my door, technically speaking, pick up the passenger, do what I got to do in the area I want to be in, and then go home. And this is also helping me with driving during traffic time. So I'll talk a little bit about traffic where, for example, in the morning, my goal is to absorb as much as the bonuses around my area as possible. And then once traffic starts getting thick, I go downtown and I stay downtown until traffic is over. And then I kind of do the opposite for afternoon traffic, like around 5 a.m. What I'll do is I'll start to the north where traffic won't be. And then as traffic is developing, I know that on my way south, there won't be any traffic because traffic will be heading in the opposite direction. So then I'll set a destination filter that only gives me ride from way up here in the north at the top to the south without ever putting me in traffic going the opposite way. And what that does is it allows me to capture bonuses that are being created because of traffic while not having to sit in the traffic. So having access to those extra filters for me is really, really important. And I really, really think it's going to help me maximize my income because it'll give me the ability to drive during traffic periods without losing out on as much money, right? I still think driving without traffic is the best time, but if you want to maximize your income, you're going to have to open up when you can drive, especially if you're going to do 12 hours per day, right? I could easily work the best 4 hours per day, but that doesn't mean it's going to give me enough money to hit my goals. So that means I might have to work the best 12 hours per day, and some of those best hours might be during traffic time. So coming up with a strategy that allows me to maximize my income during traffic time, a huge win. Being able to have more area filters to conquer traffic, a huge win. Let me quickly look through if there's any other rewards we're talking about. Oh yeah, how could I forget? Probably the biggest reward for me, right here. 10% cash back with Lyft Direct. As a Platinum Plus driver, not Platinum Plus, as a Platinum driver, I've enjoyed the 7% cash back for a while. You go to the gas station, you use your Lyft debit card. They eventually put that 7% back into your Lyft account and it comes out like through a direct payment. Now it's 10%. Gas is our most expensive expense, right? Being able to get 10%. Let me pull my spreadsheet up. So this is for 8,000. This is year to date. I don't have it. And let's do January since January is complete. I spent $381.53 on gas. 10% of that is $38. That's a gas tank. That's a free gas tank. When I think about gas tanks, I say, how much money is that? How much money can I make with a gas tank? I can make about $300 to $400 on a gas tank. So with that 10% back that I'm getting, I can go and turn that into about $300 to $400. That's kind of how I see it. And so getting 10% cash back on your most expensive expense, it's saving 10% on your most expensive expense. I think that's huge. I think that the sacrifices I made in order to get Elite Driver to my strategy will pay for itself over time, especially the more I drive. If I'm going to be logging a bunch of miles and spending a bunch of money on gas because of how percentages scale, 10% of $100 isn't a lot of money. That's $10. 10% of $10,000 is $1,000. That's a lot of money. So just of how percentages scale, because I drive so much, the more I drive is the more valuable these elite rewards are going to be for me. Right? I can understand why someone who's part-time might not care as much, but for someone who is trying to maximize their income while driving a bunch of hours, it's very important to me. And it's not going to be important to everyone. I think it's worth it. And I'm going to put it to the test in March. I really am. So let's see if there's any other benefit worth talking about. Yeah, free all-state roadside assistance, which kind of saved my butt last week, but that's something you can get as a premium driver. You get 50% on TurboTax Premium, which is cool. I do use TurboTax. I would use it regardless. So I think it'll be worth it. And all that's left is to prove to you guys that it will be worth it. Let me guys know what your feelings are about this in the comments. I'm going to check in on you guys. Miss Jones says my acceptance rate is 12%. Whoa, Silver Fox says his acceptance rate is 3%. Miss Jones says I refuse to take any $4 or $5 rides. I think $4 and $5 rides have their place. If you had an area filter that kept you in an area that had bonuses popping up and you had a $3 bonus on top of a $5 ride, that's $8 to go 2 miles. You're averaging $4 per mile. It depends. It depends on your market for sure. Depends on the kind of car you have. It really does depend. But I think there are scenarios in which you can capitalize on it. And I don't know, 12% is real low. But I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like my word is the word. But sheesh, I would love to see like screenshots of like everything in your phone. Miss Jones says, "Wait, in NJ we have to drive at certain times to get points. Any other times we don't get any." That's the same for me. I I have to make majority of my points on Friday and Saturday. I have. I guess I can show you, right? I'll show you. Points. It's not. It might not show because I have the highest level, but let me see. Yeah, it might not show. Every time I hit the highest level, it stops showing me when I can generate points. See, subject to program terms, driving score. Let me see. Hold on. Give it one more shot. But no, I have to drive at certain times as well. I have heard that the amount of points that's required for me to hit elite is a lot less than other people. But then I wonder if they have more availability to hit more points. So yeah, it's not going to show you the timetable for me, but it's mostly on Friday and Saturday that I have to do points, which is why I had to make sure I got it Saturday. Because if I didn't get it Saturday, March is on Thursday. I wouldn't have gotten it by then because I don't really have an opportunity to make it between Monday and Thursday. Sean says, "Hey, is this live?" Yes. Yes, Sean. This is live. This is indeed live. Sean says, "Has anyone rented their car through Turo?" I have not, and I want to. That's the next step in my business development. The reason I haven't is because I don't want. Turo is semi passive. I will make more money driving my own car than I will renting it to someone else. So what I want to do is I want to go and buy a Prius, and then my current car has too many miles on it to do Turo. So I would make my wife drive that car, and then I would put her car on Turo. So then I have the Prius for rideshare. We'll have her car on Turo, and then she'll drive my car. So that's the next step in my business plan. Sean says, "This guy is the rideshare master." I'm okay. I do a lot of thinking when I'm driving, and I just try to regurgitate that information to you guys and try to lift everyone's income up. Silver Fox says no. Sean says very cool. Silver, yeah, you guys are just talking to each other. I wonder if Turo is good. I don't know. There's only one way to kind of tell. It's definitely not going to be as good as it used to be during the pandemic. It was a great time for it, but I still want to do it myself, despite what I might hear from other people. Because I'll be honest, it's kind of something I've just learned in the workforce. There's always going to be people who don't do things well, and then there's always going to be people who do things well. And um, sometimes the reason people fail at certain things is their own fault. So sometimes you just have to test things yourself. Sean says, "You ever think of doing Uber and Lyft with the Tesla?" Boy, do I have a video for you to watch. I'll do a quick recap. Generally speaking, I would never buy a new Tesla, but I would never buy a new vehicle, period. Currently, based off of the information I do have, and I do plan to do more research, I would currently prefer a used Prius over a used Tesla. I think that I drive too much to want to be at a supercharger. And if you're doing supercharging, the fuel cost is actually more expensive than it would be for a Prius. If you're able to charge at home, that might not be true, but I think I drive too much for that to be true currently, right? Things can change. My opinion can change. I have to compare a cost analyst on a used Tesla to a used Prius to see what the difference might be because, the Tesla might qualify for a higher kind of rides. Or if I get the 7-seater at a good price, it might qualify for XL and I might change how I feel. I do own 2 cars, so I can maybe swap out depending on what my goals are for the day. There are different scenarios where it might work out. I just haven't worked through that math yet. But currently, my eyes are focused on the Prius. Sean says, "I like your podcast setup. It's really slick looking." Thank you. I put effort into it. I really did. Silver Fox says, "I might do it later with a used Model 3. I will. So like I will come to a point in my career where I'm still making videos and financially I'm doing well, and I'll take L's to make videos. Like I'll go out and I'll buy a Tesla. I'll use it for 3 months so I can make videos on it and then get rid of it and then get like an XL and then get something else and just make videos on it. I can kind of justify it through YouTube, and then I can kind of, for certain, instead of using rhetoric, instead of speaking in theory, instead of looking up numbers, I'll be able to say with actual experience whether this is something you should or shouldn't do. And even actual experience can differ, but I'm just talking about my intentions and whatnot. Silver Fox says Hertz is dumping long range 3 for 25 ish. So that is something else I forgot to talk about in my video. And Sean, I have a video called "Should Drivers Get a New Tesla?" or whatever. I came out with it like last week. Go on my main page when we're done here and check it out. But I forgot to talk about the fact that Hertz is dumping their Tesla lineup and buying gas cars instead. So I haven't really looked too deep into why, but that's a red flag for me. It says the longevity of these cars may not be worth it to the point where they're going back to gas. So that's something that, should be considered. Maybe it's time to replace the batteries and they're realizing the battery cost isn't like worth replacing, but it could be worth for us just because they can't do it. They're bankrupt before. They might not be running their business very well. It could be on them. That doesn't mean it might not be great for the individual, but it is a flag that should be considered when thinking about buying a Tesla. Sean says, different topic. Can you quickly review what gear you have for video switching? Sure. I can't quickly do that now. As in, I can't so I have software and I don't know how much I can change the software live, but I'm just using OBS. I have one camera and I have different scenes set up, right? So this is the scene I use to record my desktop, but it's recording the desktop that's behind me. I don't have it set up. I have 3 monitors running off this one computer. Hold on. So 3 monitors running off this one computer, and I don't have it set up to where I could show you what I'm looking at here, but I pretty much just have my recording software. It's called OBS. It's free. You just set up your scenes, and I have one camera. I would like to get a second camera, have different angles, do a top down so I can write my math instead of using this funky digital calculator. But yeah, I use OBS. It's very powerful. It can seem overwhelming, but you just gotta check it out. And Tony says costs too much to repair. Yeah, 10 grand for a new battery is a lot. The Prius has a battery that has to be replaced as well. I did look up videos. It's like 3 grand and you can do it yourself. It's tedious, but it's not difficult. So, I might even look for Priuses that don't have batteries to get a discount and then just fix it myself. So, there's things to it. Sean says, I like how you switch camera and show the chat window zoomed in. Yeah, man, bigger is always better on YouTube. So yeah, so we're going to move forward. It's fun talking with you guys. I'll be back every time I talk about a topic. I come back and I check the chat for those of you who are new. And if you're new, make sure you like the stream, or even if you've been here for a while, make sure you like the stream. But if you're new, make sure you subscribe. That's what I really, really meant to say. So the next topic we're going to talk about is somewhere in one of these browser tabs that I have to find. All right, so we talked about how much I made, talked about how much other drivers made, the Uber glitch that stole my money. I became an elite driver. This I just saw, the new quest schedule for Uber. I'm curious about how you guys feel about this. This came from Chuck. Chuck is driving, I think. Chuck Driver. He's another YouTuber. We talk a lot on Twitter. We go back and forth about things. So he says something different. I'm not sure why they changed or if I will like it. What are your thoughts? And here's what the email he got from Uber says. It says, weekend quests are now Thursday through Saturday and are in line with peak demand. It says, hi, Charles. You've been selected to participate in a new quest schedule. Here's what you need to know. Weekday quests now start from Sunday from 4 a.m. to Thursday at 4 a.m. and you have to opt in by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Weekend quests now start Thursday at 4 a.m. through Sunday at 4 a.m. and you have to opt in by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. It continues and says, make sure to keep this new schedule in mind if you're looking to complete your quest on time. So how do I feel about this? My initial response was, I think that it's great. Primarily because if Lyft were to do this, I think Lyft quests are better than Uber's quests in my market. So if I could start my weekend quest on a Thursday and it ended Saturday, I think I'd be more likely to hit it than if it starts on Friday and ends on Sunday, because Sunday is typically a slower day in my market. I can make good money on a Sunday, but if we're talking about per ride, how many rides I can take per hour, Most of the rides on a Sunday, especially Sunday morning, is airport rides. Those are longer rides. They pay very well. If you can get bonuses on top of them, they pay well. But if I'm trying to do a ride challenge where I have to focus on how much rides I make per hour instead of how much dollars I make per hour, I'd rather do Thursday through Saturday, because Thursday is like pre-Friday in my market. It's not as busy as Friday, but you know, it's the it's like a soft Friday. So the busiest days of the week for me are typically Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if you allow me to complete bonuses and quests on the busiest days, cool. On the flip side, if I now get weekday bonuses on the 4 slowest days of the week, it might make it more difficult to hit unless Thursday was one of those days to help, prop it up. There's a lot of times where I barely finish weekday quests, and it's only because Thursday is a good day. Now, I'm talking about Lyft here, but Lyft typically follows behind Uber. So Lyft might see this and test something similar for themselves. But if they don't change it, right? If Uber keeps it like this and Lyft keeps it how they have it, then it might increase the likelihood that I'll be able to do both quests and challenges for Uber and Lyft, since they end on different days. I can split my focus and my attention. That might be it. So that was my initial reaction. My skeptical reaction starts creeping in and says, if Uber is making the change, it's to help themselves make more money. So they probably have some form of data that says, hey, if we switch to days in which quests happen, maybe it'll be less likely that people will complete the quest even if they try. So that's where the cynical part of my brain comes in. But I overcome that by saying, I'm better than Uber thinks I am. But that might not be true for everyone. So, that's kind of how my brain goes when I see things like this. We'll kind of see what there's not a lot of responses to this yet. Like, this just happened. Like, I saw this, 2 hours ago? This podcast started 2 hours ago. Like, I just saw this. So these are like fresh thoughts. Keon says, to be honest, I love this. From my experience, and I'm sure you can share similar ones, Thursday is typically busier in the Wilmington, Philadelphia market than Sunday, and I've been working full Thursdays so that I can use Sundays as content days. I didn't even know he makes content. Cool. I got to see what kind of content he makes. Sorry, this is for personal curiosity. We'll get back to it. Uber driver, gamer, YouTuber. I'm just going to ask him. Cool. What kind of content do you make? Okay, let's see what the response. He's okay. I'm like first, I guess. I don't know. All right, so Chuck says, good points. Thursdays are typically very busy, which is kind of what we just said here. But that's what I like about finishing up a weekday quest on Thursday. Exactly what I just said. And Sundays can be hit or miss, mostly miss during the summer months, which Thursday will come on the key there. But I'll be down at the beaches then. So he's saying what I'm saying, where having one busy day during the weekday to complete your quests helps you to complete your quests. Uber might turn around and give like crazy quests now because they're expecting Thursday, Friday, Saturday to be, high volume days. So it's all going to come down to what the rides look like how many rides are they expecting us to do versus how much money are they going to give to us as a result, whether or not we can accomplish it or not. The gig economy says, I'd be super thankful if that worked in your favor because there's a 100% chance it won't in most cities. He's kind of cynical. He's appealing to the cynical part of my brain. He says, Uber isn't going to change the game unless it works in their favor. Keep in mind they have all the data. I just said this. Twitter/X is one of my favorite places to talk to rideshare drivers, just because I feel like they put more effort into thinking. No offense against you guys, but if you guys check out some of the comments on some of my videos, it can get real nasty, get real negative. And, but I know when I'm here, I'm talking to people who are willing to think things through and not be too concerned with being right. Like when we're talking here, it's all about it's like we're all theorizing about what things could be, in a respectful way. So if you think that's the kind of person you are, make sure you follow me on X, Tristan Thomas YT. Make sure you follow me. I like talking to people over there. Truck says, that's my first reaction. Why change it? And what's their benefit? They're having the same conversation we just had, Let's see, is there anything else? So yeah, that's that. It'll be interesting to watch. There's not that much information on it. This is probably being thrown around on Reddit, but let me know what you guys think about it, and I will check into the comments right now to see what you guys are saying. John says, "What do you think about people renting their cars to other drivers for like Uber and Lyft or just like Toro?" Um, if the numbers make sense, then cool. As long as you're not using debt to do it. If you sound like you're new here, I'm super against debt. I'm trying to pay off all the debt that I've ever accumulated. I paid off my car back in December. All that stuff is my student loan, so I'm against debt. I feel comfortable lending. I feel comfortable having a business where I rent out my car to people. You know, I plan on doing Toro. If I could start a fleet for Uber, I consider it. Um, the part that I wouldn't consider is that I don't think anyone should rent a car from someone. So it would feel dishonest of me to rent a car to someone to do Uber because I know they're being taken advantage of, kind of. So I would have to figure out how to deal with that guilt, or I would have to make sure the number works in their favor as well, or that I'm coaching them and saying, hey, you need to, I feel like part of it would be charity on my end. Like, I'm like, hey, make as much money as you can, but my goal is to help you graduate out of this car that I'm renting to you. Like someone who's fallen on hard times that have to rent a car in order to get out of their hard times, I'm okay with that. But there has to be a sense of intentionality and intensity. And I'd only rent to someone who I feel like was using it to step up in life. Like I wouldn't want to continuously just take advantage of them. I also don't know how the back end of that works. I know Uber has some fleet stuff where people can sign up, put cars on there, get a percentage of the money. I don't know the minute details in order to answer your question if that's what you're specifically asking about. Silver Fox says Hertz is dumping because of tires and crash damage. So yes, I also forgot to bring this up in my comparison with the cost of new Teslas or whatever. Teslas, electric cars in general are very, very heavy. The batteries are extremely heavy. And what that's causing is tires to wear quickly. And tires for Tesla are expensive. So even though there are probably less like monthly costs associated with the maintenance of a Tesla, that doesn't mean the overall cost over 5 years isn't there. Like it might not need to be things might not need to be replaced or fixed often, but that doesn't mean when it's time to fix or replace something that it's not going to be expensive. So very good point, Silver Fox. This is so I just kind of want to harp on the idea that I started live streaming maybe November-ish, right? And I started making content from my live streams. And I did it as a method of being able to put content out quickly enough, even though I'm focused on putting majority of my hours on the road. What was happening before is I was making well-produced content, scripted content. Like it would take me just like a full day just to write the script, to think about the title, think about the thumbnail, write the script, research the script, make sure I have my numbers correct. It would take me a while just to even do that. And then I'd have to perform it, right? Get in front of the camera and go over and over when I'm making mistakes, and then I have to edit it. And it would take like 3 weeks to make a video. Now I'm putting out video every single day. So make sure you like this video if you appreciate me being here doing that. I make videos every single day. I do have an editor that I work with. He does about half the load. Kinda. As far as editing is concerned, I still do all the planning, the thumbnailing. That's all on Tristan. So I still do that. And what I found is I can make I can express myself better through scripted content because I can be more intentional about, what I'm saying. But when I'm live, things slip through the cracks. Like I can plan as best as possible, but when I'm getting into the moment, I'm like forgetting details and things like that. So sometimes I have to take those criticisms on the chest. Like people will comment saying, they have issues with my argument, and it's usually not because they can disprove my argument, but it's usually because I didn't do a great job of delivering the argument because it's difficult to do when I'm live. So I do appreciate Silver Fox bringing up all these points that I thought about. Like I'll make a live, I'll throw it on the computer, I'll edit it, and then I'm like, man, I probably should have said this or I forgot to say that. So that's just the nature of the beast. That's just how it's gonna be. But we're gonna move forward and figure out what the next topic is going to be. We're going to stay live until 7. We're making really good on time. Yeah, it's been a while since I spent a full 3 hours with you guys, but we're doing well today. So let's see what else there is to talk about. All right, so okay, good. We're going to talk about the Uber and Lyft transparency bill. And I think this is very important, and I'm glad we were able to get to it. So before we even read this, I haven't read this, right? So I don't really know what it's going to be about, but I think this is uh, here's why I want to talk about this. About a week before the strike, Lyft came out and said they're gonna give drivers 70% of all the money or more of all the money that comes after external fees and taxes. Lyft and Uber have both said that majority of those external fees and taxes are the result of insurance payouts. Like the majority of that's going to insurance companies. If that is true, drivers, passengers, shareholders, along with Uber and Lyft, can all combine together to figure out why insurance cost is so high and what we can do to lower it. Now, what I'm about to say is not in favor of part time drivers. It's something that can be considered, it's something that might have a sliding scale to it. But I did the math, I did it live. I pulled up the prices for commercial auto insurance. For me, it was like $450 to about $550 a month for commercial insurance. When we did the math on, I don't remember what the numbers ended up being, but I suspect that if I were to pay for my own commercial insurance, I would save. Let me rephrase that. If I were to pay for my own commercial insurance and Uber and Lyft had to stop paying for commercial insurance, they're government mandated to do so. I believe I will make more money in the long term by paying for my own insurance than Uber and Lyft taking money out of our checks to pay for insurance. I need to do a better math example. I'll have to do that over a scripted video. But um, Uber sent an email out to one of the viewers here, someone in the community, saying that Uber is being forced to pay. I can find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm not gonna butcher this one. I'm gonna show you the proof so you guys know I'm not just making stuff up. I don't even know what to Google here in my inbox. I'm just gonna look at sent things. Yeah. So Thiago, he leaves comments all the times. So he sent me the screenshot from Uber, and I'm gonna read it to you right now. I gotta pop it out. Hold on. I'm showing his emails. Hold on, give me a second. Here we go. Almost there. Almost there. Okay, here we go. So the email says, did you know that all 50 states, including Florida, require commercial auto liability insurance in addition to personal auto insurance for you to earn money driving on platforms like Uber? These important laws help everyone. These important laws help keep everyone on the road safe, which is why Uber maintains this commercial insurance on your behalf, so you don't have to pay for it on your own. But Florida's commercial insurance coverage requirements for the TNC rideshare platforms like Uber are significantly higher than they are for nearly every other car on the road, including taxis. That means not because, but there are laws that force Uber and Lyft to have to cover $1 million policy for their drivers, and the amount they are paying per person is significantly more expensive than what the individual on the road is currently paying. So if what they say is true, that means it is cheaper for an individual to have their own commercial insurance compared to the amount that Uber and Lyft are taking from us. It continues by saying, in fact, in Florida, on average, nearly 20% of the total price riders pay goes towards government mandated commercial insurance. These costs have gone up a lot in the last few years, partly due to the rising cost of injury attorneys abusing the court system with the barrage of personal lawsuits. I did have a story lined up in here where Uber was countersuing some law firms that were kind of dragging things out in court and making it more expensive for them. And don't think I'm here defending Uber. A percentage of that might be true, and a percentage of it might not be true, but it's in line with what we're seeing from both Lyft and Uber. Like they're publicly saying like this is where the money is going. If you disagree with them, that's fine. Show me some proof. But if what they say is true, I think that it would be benefit for all of us to come together and figure out why it's like this, which is this is why I want to talk about the new gig transparency package that aims to avoid 2023's legislative roadblock in Colorado. So let's go through it and see what it says and see who's to blame here. Colorado's rideshare drivers have put in a lot of work over the past year, not just on the streets delivering people and items where they need to go, but also in the Colorado legislature. The legislation that would require big rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft to be more transparent about their business with the state, consumers, and drivers only earn about 14% of what riders pay, according to new research. I feel like if what Uber and Lyft are saying about where the money is actually going, I don't understand why they're not being even more transparent. Yes, we know Lyft has said they're gonna break it down for us and give us 70% of what's left after taxes and insurance. What I would like to see is that when they do their quarterly earnings, they need to show us the exact dollar that they're paying for insurance. If what they say is true, having that information in the front so that we can figure out how to improve it, make it cheaper, whatever it is, that will benefit shareholders, drivers, passengers, and the companies. So I have a red flag in my head because we're still having to force Uber and Lyft to be more transparent with their pricing. Why are you trying to hide that if you're saying majority of these payments are going towards government mandated insurance? You should be throwing that number right in front of us, that specific number, so that we can figure out how to attack it, especially if it benefits everyone involved. While a measure that changed fee-setting regulations to allow for competitors to rideshare giants passed last year, a gig work transparency bill that would have allowed drivers and customers to know how much drivers make for each trip failed. Now the idea is back with two bills aimed at transparency for rideshare drivers hitting the legislature this week. One, transportation network company Transparency, is sponsored by State Senator Kevin Piola, who actually voted to kill the transparency bill in the Senate Finance Committee last year. Interesting. What I saw in the discussion is that there were a lot of areas where there was agreement, and there were a lot of areas where there could be more common ground found if there was enough time. My commitment to the sponsors after that bill died was to get out early and start working. We started our conversations in July, okay? Over the summer and fall, Piora and his bill other sponsors, Senator Robert Rodriguez and Representative Jennifer Bacon, held meetings with rideshare companies and drivers alike. The result is a bill that Piora says has a much better chance of passing, though he expects there will be changes as it makes its way through the legislature. Colorado Independent Drivers United, a union of rideshare workers vying for better conditions for drivers in the state, has pushed for transparency on the driver pay, trip distance, and driver deactivations, which they say occur randomly and lead to drivers unfairly losing their livelihood. This has been addressed already. The two proposals address these concerns but split the issue between transportation network companies, those that move people like Uber and Lyft, and delivery network companies like DoorDash that move items or food. I felt like it's better to simplify it by having each bill focused within its specific area. I agree with that. I think that's fine. He tells Westword that there will be many discussions over details leading to the way the TNC bill looks now. I think through all the discussion, the companies realize, yeah, the drivers have legitimate concerns. We can see that. But then the folks representing the drivers also realize there's a good reason why they are set up this way. The bill would require TNCs to develop a clear, reasonable driver deactivation policy and disclose it to drivers by May 2025. That's too far. And that's one critique that I have. Like, if you're not trying to be a long-term rideshare driver, like, I get wanting government to intervene and like set pay minimums and things like that. But one, they take a very long time to happen. We're talking about 2025. Like, where will you be in 2025? Do you still want to be a rideshare driver in 2025? You know, like some of you do, and that's fine. But it takes a long time for government to move its feet. And then on top of that, just because government moves its feet and gives us what we're asking for doesn't mean the outcome will be what we think it is. And we're seeing that in Seattle, where they've introduced this minimum pay floor, and now so many more people are driving and delivering food that now yes, when someone takes a delivery, they're making more money, but they're not having as many deliveries to take. So they're making a good amount of money per active time. when it comes to the amount of online time they put in to make the same amount of money, it's more time. So it doesn't always happen the way we think it will because we're disrupting supply and demand. Does that mean that we shouldn't try to make changes? That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is we need to be prepared financially for when what we ask for doesn't work out the way we think it will. That's all I'm saying. Just scanning through this to see if there's any. I think this is a complete different story. Yeah. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. I'm gonna see if you guys are saying anything, and then we're gonna keep moving forward. The Driven Dad says, "What's up?" He says this bill was actually made possible because a town hall put together by Steve Rideshare Rodeo on YouTube and other YT like Zach Drives Fast, Kim's Side Money Plans, and Sergio from the Rideshare Guy. That's dope. I forgot that you're actually the Driven Dad drives in Colorado. I forgot about that. You guys used to have your Colorado and coffee thing or something. I haven't seen that in a while. Driven Dad's another YouTuber. Go check him out and check out everyone. He's kind of just listed. I don't know Steve Rideshare Rodeo. I'm gonna go and look him up now and follow him. But I do follow Zach Drives Fast. He does like DoorDash content. Kim's Side Money Plans. They have a podcast together on the Rideshare Guy channel, and Sergio from the Rideshare Guy. I guess most of you already know, but let me check out this guy. I don't know. I don't think I follow him. Wow, my copy and paste did not work. I have too many tabs, guys. All right, so this isn't what I want. I don't want to use this either. Okay, here we go. Rideshare Rodeo. All right, we're gonna go ahead and subscribe. Check out his content later. Good call. Good call. It looks like you jumped in on the live at perfect time. Driven Dad says that will be making it back soon. He was part of the coffee in Colorado. Cool. I look forward to it. Yeah, so don't know what happened to it, but as you can see, podcasts into videos is a great format, especially if you're busy. I know you work a lot. So if you could just structure your podcasts with like certain topics and chop up those podcasts into videos, you can always repost those videos. So I'm looking forward to the return of that. All right, so let's see what else we have on the docket. All right, so I don't when the Uber CEO talks, I don't like listening to him, but it's important. He fits the bill as the type of CEO that says what he has to say in order to do what he has to do, and that's kind of what I see this as. He says, Uber, sorry, Uber CEO says the company took its drivers for granted. For Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi, it's pretty clear who got the ride-hailing service through the pandemic. It's drivers. At a talk in Bengaluru, India, on Thursday, he said prioritizing drivers helped the company weather a difficult period where riders and revenue dropped precipitously. Before COVID, I would say, just being self-critical, we took our drivers for granted to some extent, he said. To some extent. We were generally oversupplied. We were much more of a consumer-focused company, and the customer, the rider or eater, was always right. So I haven't read through this, so I'm kind of reacting live as we talk about this. I don't think much has changed. And if things have changed, it's not because they wanted to change. It's because they had to change. New York passed a law that increased driver protections for drivers in New York, but Uber and Lyft took those protections and just put it across the board. Not because they wanted to, but because they had to. So that you don't get credit for that. And then on top of that, he's talking about oversaturation. How's that different? There are more drivers now on the Uber platform than there has ever been. I'm not saying that they should do something about that, but you can't toot that, you took advantage of us by oversaturating the market previously when the market is currently the most saturated that it's ever been. So to me, that's a red flag that nothing has changed, even though you think something has changed. We'll continue. The pandemic was what forced Uber to take a hard look at the driver experience. Dara said, I'm using his first name. I'm not pronouncing all of that all the time. With an eye toward prioritizing onboarding and other needs. The drivers saw us as a platform that was dependable for them, that listened to them, and was fair, he said. But the nature of the earner economy and flexible earnings is that you have to re earn that loyalty every single day. Ultimately, the power of Uber is the 6.5 million earners who are on our platform and the services they provide for everybody. It's not the first time that Khashoggi has noted the virtues of his company drivers. Last year, he said his experience moonlighting as an Uber driver was a wake up call, one that pushed him to start valuing his workers behind the wheel more. I think that if everyone who worked for both Uber and Lyft was forced to drive 5 hours a month, their perspective on the decisions that they make would change. The coders would code the apps differently. The people who come up with like uh, street bonuses and things like that would change how they operate. And I do think it's important for these people to go and actually work in the app that they're creating. I feel like it'd be so much better if there was some kind of mandate for that. The article says we started celebrating employees going out there, delivering, employees driving. He said at the time, it's a point of pride for employees now. But Uber drivers aren't universally content despite Khashoggi's comments. Many have reported increased competition and declining earnings in recent months, making it more difficult to stay on the road as a gig worker. And just last week, frustrated Uber drivers across the country went on strike during the Valentine's Day holiday, protesting pay rates that vary widely and that they say are sustainable. Some are pushing for minimum pay rates for drivers, which have already been enacted in New York City, Seattle, and California. Similar proposals are being considered in Minneapolis, Chicago, and Massachusetts. That's it. Is that it? So yeah. To me, just words right now. You know, the actions they have taken are because they were forced to take those actions, so they don't get credit from me on that. However, I will say, even a scenario in which, CEOs are saying things for PR, right? This is kind of what I put this in. It could, even if that's not, there is benefit to it. There is some kind of allowance that I have in my personality that if you're going to publicly say this to the world, then, I have hope that a percentage of hope that you're going to start doing things that reflect that, right? It could be for different reasons. It might not be for the total financial benefit of drivers, but just saying that publicly is a step in the right direction. We just need to see the actions backed up from it. So there's not much more to say on that. I didn't realize the article was so short. All right, so let's see what we have next. All right, so priority mode. I don't have access to it. It's a thing on Lyft. I don't even quite know how it works, but I have seen people bring it up, and I'm going to learn about it right now in front of you, and then I'm going to try to determine if this is something you should do or not do. So this is directly from the website. It says priority mode. Priority mode is only available for platinum and elite drivers in the following regions. So there's Chicago, Denver, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Portland, San Antonio, Austin, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Miami, Salt Lake City, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Richmond, Pittsburgh, Daytona Beach, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Columbus, Nassau County, I used to live there, Silicon Valley, Providence, Detroit, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, New Jersey, Orlando, Houston, Boston, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco. There's no Charleston there. That's my market. I'm in Charleston. When priority mode is on, you'll get more rides so you can stay busy when it's slow. With priority mode, you'll spend less time waiting between ride requests. That sounds pretty good so far. You'll receive a set number of priority mode hours each week. You can check the number of hours you have available on the priority mode details page. Interesting. I need to see the page. The number of priority mode hours available can change from week to week depending on how busy it is in your area. All right, so then kind of has like help stuff, I guess. Hold on. Come on. Okay. To use priority mode, turn priority mode on or off by tapping priority mode at the bottom of the home screen. Priority mode works best when it's less busy. Priority mode works best when it's less busy. Okay. For best results, leave priority mode on instead of switching it on and off. Okay. You will get priority access to new requests as they become available. as I'm reading this, you let me know if you have access to this in your market and tell me about your experiences and whether or not this is worth it. Priority mode is only available for standard rides. You can still get ride requests for other ride types, but you won't be prioritized for these requests. I think that's okay. If priority mode isn't available, we limit how many drivers can use priority mode at the same time so that these drivers get more ride requests. If priority mode is unavailable right now, but you still have hours left, check back later. You can check which day your priority mode hours reset in the driver app. This sounds like it might be great to use during, in my market, there's like a slow period after traffic ends and before lunch. So like from 9 a.m. to like 1 p.m., it can be really, really slow. This sounds like if you can only drive during those time periods, you can use priority mode. But I suspect that it would be more profitable to just not drive during that time and instead drive at a different time of the day. But I know not everyone has access to unlimited daily hours. You have kids, schedules to work around. So, but that's kind of my first impression so far. Priority mode isn't available at airports. If you enter the airport queue, priority mode will turn off. I think that's fair. I think the airport is not a great place to be in most places. The goal of priority mode is to help you stay busy. With location filters turned on, there are fewer rides you can be matched with, which can cause more downtime, right? So yeah, using certain strategies when it's busy can make you a lot of money, and using those same strategies when it's slow can backfire. This is why I think that rideshare drivers need to have a good tool set of like strategies to use instead of relying on one strategy all the time. I don't think that's a great way to make money. It says priority mode is only available when you're giving a standard ride. You can still receive ride requests without priority mode for other ride types, but you won't be prioritized for these requests. I think that's good. So that means if you have an XL, but you turn priority mode on, you can still receive XL requests and still be prioritized for standard requests. That can backfire if it's not busy, because you don't want to get prioritized for standard requests when the possibility of an XL request might pop up. So if it's busy enough that XL requests are popping up, but you put on priority mode and they make you a priority for standard rides, that means you'll have access to more standard rides. If you just didn't use that feature, which would make you more likely to get an XL ride, that might decrease your door-to-door earnings per hour, but it might increase your active time hours if you were to get those XL rides instead. So here's some stats on earning in priority mode. Most drivers earn 15% more in priority mode. When you use priority mode, you'll make slightly less per ride, but you'll have more opportunities to earn. So yeah, so it's kind of reflective of what I just said. You'll stay more busy, which will increase your door-to-door time, right? Or your online time, how much rides you're taking on your online time, but it's going to decrease how much money you're making for your active time, potentially. So it's a sliding scale is what it seems like. And it can be really dangerous if you're using this incorrectly, is what I'm kind of inching towards. Like, it needs to be really slow. You probably want to use this during the winter months. I don't even think you'd want to use this every week or every day. When you're in priority mode, you'll be able to see the amount you'll earn for a ride before you accept it. In regions that use a rate card, your rate card will be lower in priority mode. However, when you use priority mode, you'll have more opportunities to earn overall. You can check priority mode rates in the driver app at any time. So I guess a good way to summarize this will be, if it's really slow and you're not getting any rides, like you're out there for 4 hours and for those 4 hours you didn't get any ride, it would still be better if you're desperate for money to use priority mode so you can get rides during that 4 hours. But you're gonna have a negative impact on your earnings per mile. So it's like, even if you don't make money in 4 hours, at least you're not, wasting your car miles, because that adds up over time. So it's a sliding scale. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice to make that dollar today? And honestly, right now, reading it, it feels kind of slimy. I would really, for example, in my market, I have a tourist market with college students. During the winter, the tourists don't come here. And at some point in the winter, the students leave and it can get really slow. That's probably I'd probably only use priority mode during the slow periods of the slow times during the slow season. I don't really see myself using this when it's busy. I feel like this is not that great. Like, It's cool that it's an option, but this used incorrectly can be more harmful than supportive. So when you drive 1 hour or more in priority mode per day, you'll be able to see how much more you earned in priority mode compared to nearby drivers during a similar time frame who didn't use priority mode. So that's cool. Give me that information up front. I wish I had access to this so that I can kind of prove what I'm saying, test what I'm saying so I can give you guys better information. But anyone who's used this, if you've had a time where you've made less money than those around you, share that with me. Or if you had a time where you made more money, share that with me. I want to hear about your experiences. To find this information, you go to your driver app, you open up your earnings tab, and you can see your total earnings under your priority mode summary. Let me see if I can find that right now. See if we can find it on Reddit. So he has an opinion on it, and maybe we'll read that opinion later. But I want to see the screenshot. Okay, this is about a game. I guess I need to put Lyft. Okay, let's see what this guy's saying. It's just more words. I just want a screenshot. We'll come back and read those words later. He says priority mode for the win. It seems I've been here before. Okay. So this one has a screenshot. Okay, we'll zoom in a second. We'll just read it. It says, yesterday you made an estimated $1.76 more with priority mode, excluding tips and bonuses. With priority mode, this person made $75.20. Without, he would have made $73.44. This post is the title is satire. Priority mode for the win. He says, really keeping me out of the poorhouse there with priority mode. Let's see what the comments are saying. Said you made an extra $1.76. You made an extra $1.76 driving an extra 50 miles. He said priority mode, asking Lyft to pay you. I don't really see how he got to that outcome. I think he's just making information up. Like the whole 50 miles. I don't see any stats to back that up. It says priority mode, asking Lyft to pay you less. They have it in my market, used it once before realizing the scam it is. I can stay back to back busy without priority mode. Why would I want to be paid less for the same work? This is what I'm saying. He says he can get back to back without priority mode. Priority mode is for when it's slow. So he was using it incorrectly for starters. He says, I bet you drove more miles while using priority mode compared to other days earning the same amount of money. Likely, but I don't see the proof for it. He says, it's better than watching YouTube shorts while my wait times stack up and having immigrant workers eat my lunch. Rude. I already be sitting on 15 to 20 hours of idle time plus charging. So this person finds it beneficial when it's slow, but it has to be real slow. We're talking about like winter slow. Griff mode intensifies. Okay, so let's finish out what they're saying here. I've pretty much kind of decided how I feel. It says, in the rare case you don't earn more, your earnings will be adjusted to match what you would have earned for yesterday's rides if you weren't in priority mode. That's big. I think that's acceptable. You'll be eligible for an adjustment any day that you've driven at least 1 hour in priority mode. Okay. I stand by the idea that you should not be using this unless it's really slow. And I guess you would have to have a really good grasp on your market. I do respect that they show you what you would have made instead, but their calculations and expectations are different from my calculations and expectations, but it is nice that they will pay you the difference. So I wish I had this discussion a couple months ago so that you guys could test this, but you guys probably shouldn't test this because it should be getting busier. Maybe if you have like a really down week, you don't know what's going on, maybe spring break, the kids aren't going to school and it's slow, maybe that'll be a good time to test it, but I obviously can't test it, and I'm going to see what you guys are saying in the comments. We got some good comments going in here. All right. Driven Dad says, Tristan, I saw your Tesla debate. Have you considered there are less than 20K models available that have unlimited supercharging available? Most are 20 to 2016 models that could definitely rival the Prius model. I have openly said that I haven't done the used to used comparison, and I will. I have said that currently, based off the information I do know, I would still pick the Prius for my driving habits. However, I did know that there were unlimited testing out there, like unlimited testing. I did know about unlimited charging. I didn't know that it carries over to different people. So if I could buy a model for less than 20K that has unlimited charging, I put heavy consideration into that. But I'd be a little worried about making that decision because of something I've shown earlier in this video. I think you just kind of joined in, so I'll show it to you. And it's a concern. It's not something that makes me say no, but it's something that I would have to think about when I'm making that purchase. So it'd be Tesla super charging for commercial. All right, and I read this earlier, and we'll go through it. Go through it real quick. It's not much. This is not it. It's in their terms of service, TOS. Come on, I found it so easy earlier. There we go. Commercial. All right, so it says to help ensure superchargers are available for their intended use, we ask that you not charge your vehicle using a supercharger if your vehicle is being used for a commercial purpose, such as taxi or rideshare through services like Uber or Lyft, unless you charge on a per pay basis. So they're saying that if you have unlimited charging, free charging, that they don't really want you using their superchargers. And I have seen other users say like they've been like limited and throttled. But it's not widespread. I haven't seen a bunch of people saying that. It's something I would have to think about when considering a Tesla. It's something I would have to factor in. But I will say, based off of that information that you shared with me, I am more likely to consider the Tesla now, a used Tesla versus a used Prius, considering free charging. I think free charging can be big, even if there are negatives to having to use a supercharger, such as like time and things like that. Money is about time. Time is about money, and it's a sliding scale. So if I have to sacrifice some time to save with free charging, that's something I would heavily consider and have to look at. So good point. I will think about that when I get ready to make my used Prius versus used Tesla comparison. I'll definitely add that into the considerations. That is an excellent point. Driven Dad says, Dara is such a douche. He changed us from partners to earners. Chuck Driver, he's the guy who's Twitter/X post I was reading earlier. He says, I agree. Everyone, Uber and Lyft employees should drive 1 week per year. It would save a lot of issues. I agree with that. For example, the glitch that I discovered that's like erasing my surges, that might not have existed if someone else who worked there already went through that. The Driven Dad says priority mode sucks because it only works with Lyft basic enabled. So if you do only comfort and higher, you have to drop down. From what I read, I could be wrong, it made it seem as if you still have access to those rides, but you might get standard rides more often than those rides just because you're in priority mode. That's kind of what I took from it. I could be wrong here. But I wouldn't want to sacrifice those rides for standard rides if I had a car that was eligible to take those kinds of rides. Chuck Driver says, I wouldn't recommend using priority mode outside of trying to complete a high volume ride challenge, and make sure to pair it with area filter around a medium large city. Cool that you can do both. That's pretty cool. I'm doing some thinking. Priority mode gives you access to more rides. Those rides would be shorter if you use the area filter. It would give you a larger volume of rides. Okay, that's pretty good. I like nuanced strategies where they're only great for specific use cases. And I think that, of course, I haven't tried it, but I think that's something I'd be interested in, especially since I can only take normal rides anyway. So if I can turn priority mode and it gives me access to more rides and I don't care about the dollar amount per ride because I'm trying to hit ride challenges, yes, that is actually an excellent strategy. So thank you for pointing that out. That's actually pretty good. Do you have that in your market, which is, I keep thinking your market is Charlotte, but I know it's not. So I guess is that how you've been nailing your very huge ride challenges? Lewis says, I have it. He says it's cheaper for every ride. The Driven Dad says, and it would send me super long distance pickups. You got to use area filters. I don't know what your market even looks like. Driven Dad says, yeah, I'll just multi-app and not take a pay cut. If Lyft had ride challenges, I'd maybe consider it. Yeah, honestly, when it's slow, I have both apps up on my phone. I have folding phone. I could put like Uber over here, Lyft over here, and I'll be online and just take whatever comes first. Driven Dad says, let's say it's 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Slow rideshare hours. Just do some catering apps or Uber Eats and DoorDash. That's actually a good point. Those times are usually like lunch for people. So yeah, very excellent point. General says it sounds cool, but I'll wait to see how it's actually affecting reducers positively. The Driven Dad says I've had it and I've only used it for a real good challenge. Okay. He can buy a half pack of gum. Congrats. He's referring to the difference between what he made using priority mode versus not. Driven Dad says most likely more miles because, like I said, it would send me 10-mile plus pickups. Yeah, that's what the Reddit were saying as well. He says, yeah, that is true, but they don't have a way to actually enforce that. The guy I rent from, he has a Model S with it, and they use the unlimited for over 4 years. That's dope. That's something I'm gonna look into. So for those of you who might be considering buying a used Tesla, try to prioritize getting a Tesla that has unlimited charging. Driven Dad says my point was you can't priority mode at upper levels. Yeah. Adolphus says Lyft is out of business in San Diego, California. What does that mean? What does that mean? The Driven Dad says Z Fold Steamer. Yeah, the Z Fold 2, nice. Lynn is Charlotte. I'm outside of Wilmington, Philly area. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna probably do one more segment, one more story, and then I'm going to show you guys a podcast that happens every Monday at around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on X. I typically I'll end my stream, I go get some food, I go and drive, and then I listen to it live. I force my passengers to listen to it too. Chuck's usually on there. Lynn, who he just mentioned, is usually on there. She shows up in this chat as Queen Brown, Queen B. So you guys should definitely go check it out. I'll show you where it is. Let's talk about one more thing since we have 15 minutes to kill. Let's see. I want to talk about this. It's not as important as some of the other ones. I want to talk about it because I'm kind of excited about it. And if anyone else has access to it, I think someone said they have like a Lyft tablet. I want to hear, does the Lyft tablet pay you money? So Lyft buys Halo cars to help drivers make money through ads, right? So there's something similar to this. It's called the Play Octopus tablet. It's not owned by Lyft or Uber. It's actually a company that was bought by T-Mobile last year that pays drivers to put a tablet in their car, and the drivers don't have to pay for the tablet. It's the first link that I have in all of my descriptions. If you use it, I get $25. I think you get something for it too. I'm not sure, but it's free. They mail it to you for free. You set it up in your car. Drunk people love it. They absolutely love it, right? And they give you a very small percentage of the ads. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing life changing. In January I generated $50 from it. Nothing life changing. But I know that if I pay $30 for gas, I can make $300 from that gas. So to me, that $50 that they're giving me is a potential $500 worth of earnings for just putting a tablet up. That's it. And I've generated tips because it's in my car as well. So it's in the first link, but this was the foundation of what has encouraged Uber and Lyft to look into tablets that have ads in it as like a secondary way to make money. So I did want to call them out, and this is something similar to that. And I'm wondering if you would put this on your car. So Lyft buys Halo cars to help drivers make more money through ads. Ride-hailing company Lyft has acquired Halo Cars. Halo Cars is an advertising startup that displays ads on top of vehicles, according to a report from Axios. The move illustrates that ride-hailing industry's attempt to pull revenue from sources besides its core business, especially since both Lyft and Uber IPOs have underperformed. I'm down for this. I'm down for them figuring out more ways for them to earn money and for us to earn money if that means that they take less money from us. Uber has been testing a similar tie-up with Cargo, an advertising startup in New York that shares ad revenue with ride-hailing company. Cargo stopped doing its signature snack box endeavor to focus on car top display advertising. Would you put an ad on top of your car? Some people don't want to do it for security reasons. It makes you more of a target. I feel okay with my safety levels in my town. Halo Cars is still very small and operates in only a few cities. Lyft seems primarily interested in acquiring the team from the company. The company is expected to join Lyft's media division. Lyft's active riders grew 23% year over year to reach a new high of, I think they're just extending the article. Yeah. Let me see if I can find a video on Lyft Halo. or Halo, the Halo company. Hey, look, it's Jeff. Lyft Halo. This is old. Wait. Hold on. Let me see what year that article came from. This is old. This is super old. So this hasn't even came to like fruition or anything. Like, I'm wasting time here. So when I look for articles, I try to find articles that only came out within the last week. So I don't know how this slipped onto the radar. Very interesting that it's even here. So I kind of just wasted your time. I just wasted your time. Let's go over to I'm sorry about that. Still, get the Play Octopus tablet. Like, I have dash cam recordings. I just haven't sorted through them, but passengers really do love them. Like, it's trivia. You generate points without people, even if they don't play. The tablet can sense that someone's in your car and they give you points for it. They give you more points if they do play for it. Just use the link. I have the link in all of my YouTube videos. I can show you. It's even in this one. This is the live. I'm gonna mute this. Okay. So let's chat. It's all here. It's not in here. Okay, I gotta put it in here. So it's not in my live. If you go to my YouTube channel and go to any video that's not a live, it'll be there. It'll be right here. It says get the free Octopus tablet that pays drivers. So use it. All right, so I'll take you over here to X. Let's see. This is Sergio. He's over here on Twitter as well. So if you guys want to come over and chop it up with us, very nice set of drivers. So it should be Coast to Coast. It just popped up right here. So Drivers Coast to Coast is the Twitter channel. You can see Lynn is here. Levi is here. He's from Tip You in the app. Very smart people over here. You can see casual conversations with Uber and Lyft rideshare drivers from coast to coast. Join us today, 7 p.m. Go over there, set your reminder. I'll post it in the chat. And you guys go enjoy. And I'll check out the comments and I'll close it out, go get some food, and then I'm going to take my butt on the road and go and try to make some money. Try to close out February as strong as I can. Driven Dad said Lyft Black just now, $66 an hour. That's so dope. I can't wait till I'm in the financial position to where I can upgrade my car and make more content on that thing. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get either a Prius or I'm gonna get some kind of 7-seater that's also a hybrid, probably a Toyota. We'll see what that looks like. But right now, what I have going on in my personal finances, making sure I pay off all of my debt, getting my 3 to 6 month emergency fund down, and then once we're there, I can start, thinking about that kind of life where I'm full-time YouTuber, part-time driver, and I can make content that's focused more on the YouTube aspect of it all. Adolphus says Lyft fares are less than $1 per mile. I currently average more than that. I need a way to. I would like to audit people. Like, I would like to be able to have people send me like all of their screenshots for like a week, and I can go through it and see if I can like come up with a strategy to help people increase their income. I think that would be very, very helpful. But I also understand that the market does matter. There's a cross section between market matters and a cross section between the strategy that you implement. And I need a way to bridge that gap with people. I would love to figure out how to do that. Travel Gaming says, happy Monday, Tristan from San Diego. Happy Monday. Mondays, I love Monday because it's like the start of the new week for Uber and Lyft. And then I made the mistake of deciding to have a podcast on that day. So I have to wake up early. I go drive. I come home. I sleep. I podcast. And then get some coffee. And I'm back on the road. I should have made it on Tuesday since Tuesdays are the slowest day of the week. The Driven Dad says I have a Play Octopus. I'm also enrolled with their T-Mobile referral reward. That's cool. I wish that they changed their name to something that's better than Play Octopus. They could have come up with a better name. I agree, Dolphins. Less than $1 per mile on longer trips during peak traffic times. Don't drive during traffic. Well, maybe soon. I'm going to come out with a video to help you guys with traffic. Driven Dad says I was part of their research market group in Denver for this. I said, hell no, because I can't take it off and on at will. Not 100% sure what you're referring to. Yeah, I was part of the group back in 2020, right before the lockdown. Adolphus says the CEO for Lyft does not understand basic business. He is new. He just started like 6 months ago. Charvel says Prius is awesome. Tristan got 2015 for $1,100. Got a 2015 Prius for 11,500. You might just be tuning in, but we looked at a Prius that had over 550,000 miles, and it was super clean. Of course, I'm gonna chop it up and I'll make a video. You don't have to go back on the live stream and watch it. All the videos I put out every week, majority of the videos I put out every week are from the live stream. Sometimes something big will happen and I'll record the video as soon as possible and put it out. But typically speaking, if you missed the beginning of the podcast, expect it to come eventually. I prioritize, I can actually, I guess I can show you. I can kind of show you. That's not it. Edit tracker. So this is kind of all of like the videos I have planned and scheduled to come out eventually. Why insurance is skyrocketing. I kind of came out with that already. Why you shouldn't rent with Lyft. That's gonna come out sometime this week. Online versus active time. Like eventually I cut them up and I put them out, and I have like a backlog. Like these are all recorded already from previous podcasts that just need to be cut up, edited, and sent out. So eventually they'll come out. Eventually. Charles says, I do over 2K a couple weeks in a Prius. That sounds amazing. Adolphus says, Evil Dara has won in the market with rideshare reservation rides. I don't get a lot of reservation rides on Uber, but, and I talked about this earlier in the podcast, I just got Lyft Elite and I have access. I think I still have the screenshot up. I don't think I do. Hold on, but I'll find it. I have too many tabs. Always have too many tabs. Okay, I'm not gonna find it. You'll just have to wait for me to drop that video. General says the Indianapolis market def needs an audit. Let's let me see what Indianapolis is doing. A B C E F G H I J K H I. Sorry. Indianapolis. This is almost said, yeah, they do need an audit because $173, but that's so far this week, and it's only been one day this week. Yeah, it's just kind of low. I would say all of these drivers are making, I guess the top 7 drivers are making more money than all of the drivers in my market have made. I only made 1,000, according to this, I only made $1,153 last week, but I only worked 3 days. I legit just worked Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So I could probably make 2,000 in my market, but this driver made more money than all the other drivers who have this app in my market. But again, we don't know how many hours they worked, so it's kind of hard to like do an apples to apples comparison. Ivadar paid $70 on Uber X and the passenger paid $20 cash tip. That's bad. All right, I'm out of here. 7 o'clock. Fun hanging out with you guys. I'm in here every Monday. I put up videos every single day. Whenever you see my video, just like it,